Ho, ho, ho. Get another notebook. Okay. This green one will work. It's hot in here. No joke. It is a hot one. I don't know if I've ever done one of these on a Monday. It'd be interesting to see how that works. If it works at all. It may not be the best day, or it may be a good day. Hexologist Clips. What is up, my man? This is the not hexologist account. Hey, is my mic still crackling? Just curious. I changed the setting. I'm just curious if it's still crackling. It's like making popping noises. I can't stand that it's making these popping noises, y'all. It's terrible. Uh-oh. This app is breaking itself again. I've got to go over to YouTube to see the comments. The Streamlabs app is very strange. Very strange indeed. Okay. Yeah, it might be the Bluetooth. Yeah, it crackles a bit. Man, I don't even... It's like the gain inside of the Streamlabs app is turned up way too high. I don't know what to do other than pull my mic out. I just wish it didn't crackle like that. What's up, KNTX? How are you doing, man? Hexman says it's working. Yeah, I hate the crackling. I just need a better streaming app. It's the app that's doing it because I sound fine when I'm on Discord Syndicate. I don't have a problem. Crypto Butler says, what's up, GT? Setting up my Ledger Nano S. Any tips? Yes, a tip that I have is to get a piece of aluminum or a piece of titanium or something and stamp your private key into it and go bury it at your parents' house or something. Or go bury it at your grandma's house. That would be a good idea. Or go bury it in a forest in a national park somewhere. Just definitely stamp it into metal just in case the forest catches on fire. It won't melt. Yeah, hexologist. I think it is a Bluetooth. I don't know. Maybe it's better if I pull it out way out here. I don't know. I got to do something about that. Crypto Kobe said, "What's up, good people?" Hexman says maybe it's your barb hitting the mic. I don't know. It's not that big. It's got, you know. KNTX, life is good. Knocking out quotes while I listen to Goal. Man, that's so nice of you. Wow, you're such a nice guy. Crypto Kobe GT, one of the best minds in Hex. Man, appreciate that, Crypto Kobe. You're a nice guy. Crypto Kobe says, love following you on Twitter. Man, that's really nice of you. Thank you. I'm gonna share this to Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, which I have not done yet. Brian Jones, great to see you too, man. Yeah, Hexologist says hit the likes and the subscribes and all that kind of stuff. That would be awesome. I actually do have somewhat of an agenda today. Last one I came in here without an agenda. Today I got a little bit of an agenda, but I'm going to be very nice today. Let me post this on the Twitter. I think these midday, I don't know if we're going to get a ton of people in here because it's a Monday, but if not, that's okay. Okay. Oops, excuse me. Okay, well, 17. That's not bad. I wasn't expecting that. McBreezy says, darn, I'm going to miss this one. Got to go prep my rental cabin. Yeah, man, you got to take care of business, you know. You got stuff to do. You got stuff to do. I'll tell you what, it is hot, hot, hot where I am today. That is for sure. McBreezy, good day to you. Yes, sir. Good day to you too, McBreezy. Hi, GT. Nice to catch you live. Good to see you, RGS. Thanks for stopping in. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything else. We got 20 people in here. That's more than I was expecting for real on a Monday. Absolutely more than I was expecting on a Monday. Let's see, I got an agenda here today. Should I talk about the bad stuff or not? I don't know. I'm thinking I will. Just to get it out of the way. Because it's done. It's all done. All the stuff that we talked about on Discord Syndicate last Friday at the Friday night hangout. Everything that went on there is done now. The story is over, guys. The story is over. So I hate to make this negative, but gosh, I guess I need to say something because I haven't said anything yet publicly. So I guess I need to talk about this. Hexologist Clip says Hexspiracies. KNTX posting it to Telegram. Cool stuff. Archie's in the UK, so I guess that means that he's able to watch. That's good. I think that these earlier streams kind of benefit our European brothers and sisters, and probably, you know, African and Middle Eastern if there are those too. Still haven't caught up with Discord. Okay, so here we go. So what's today? Monday. Last Friday, we had a Discord Syndicate Friday night hangout thing, and it was I think it was the longest Friday night hangout in the history of the show, and I think it's the second most viewed Discord Syndicate in the history of the show. The number one was with Kyle, Dev Kyle, which is well deserved. He's a good guy, smart guy. So that was definitely well deserved at being the number one spot. The reason that stream got so many views and why it got so much attention is because we were talking about this coin called HXY. They call it Hexy. And I had a lot of things to say about it, particularly around promises being made and the faceless developers. The developers are faceless. And yesterday, the faceless devs really kind of showed their true colors. You know, the point of the HXY platform itself is they're promising that they're going to build a bunch of distributed applications. And that those distributed applications are in time going to pay hex rewards to the people that are using the ecosystem. It's a promise, plain and simple. It's a promise. And I expressed a lot of concern on the Discord Syndicate with the developers being faceless, which they're still faceless to this day. Well, yesterday, the team that develops, and I hate to even talk about this stuff, guys, but I kind of have to wrap it up because it's time to wrap it up. It's done now. They pulled the liquidity pool on Uniswap for the HXY token. So what that means is firstly what that means is that the entire liquidity pool in Uniswap was owned by a single entity. Number one, that defeats the purpose of using a DEX. Number one. Number two, that shows that you are only allowed to sell if the devs say that you can sell. It's up to them if you're allowed to sell your coins or not, because nobody else is providing any kind of liquidity. It's kind of, imagine that you're on the Binance exchange and they have the BNB token listed, and Binance, because the BNB token, let's assume that the BNB token starts going down because somebody has recognized that the fundamentals are not very sound, that the fundamentals are not very good. And let's imagine the BNB token starts going down and starts losing price. Let's assume that Binance sees that the price is going down and they halt trading because they don't want their coin to go down anymore. So what do? They halt trading. Well, that's exactly what happened with the HXY token. The token started going down after that. Now they claim it was a bug. I don't believe that story, but they claim that it was a bug in the code is the reason that the liquidity pool was taken down. I don't buy that story from faceless people. That, but you know, you can buy it if you want to. Not that it matters anymore, because the reason the story's over is anyway, what happened is after they halted trading, which is what they did, they halted trading. Once they halted trading, they left a very tiny liquidity pool left on the Uniswap exchange, and the price immediately gapped down around 90% in 10 minutes. I don't know any reasonable person that's going to buy a coin that gaps down 90% in 10 minutes after the owners of the project decide that they want to halt trading. I mean, it doesn't take a very intelligent person to see that that's a problem. You know, I would say like the vast majority of people are going to look back on that historically, and nothing else is going to really matter. The fundamentals aren't going to matter. The promises aren't going to matter. None of that stuff is going to matter. What's going to matter is that the devs caused that coin to gap down 90% in 10 minutes. And once people see that, it's game over. So the problem that causes is now with the price being lower than what it was, the way that they have their transformation lobby architected, it's going to be very difficult for that platform to continue forward in the manner that it was meant to go forward, because the Uniswap price for the foreseeable future may be lower than the transform lobby price. That being said, Hex is unaffected. This does not affect Hex at all in any way. Hex is a totally separate platform, and the strange thing is there is a popular saying that goes around that says that HXY or Hex business is based on Hex. And that's not true. It's not based on Hex at all. And so as such, Hex is unaffected. I've got some tweets on my Twitter that go into a lot more detail about how it's not really based on Hex. It is what it is. Also, I got a message earlier about somebody who is tracking the HXY liquidity pool. So the people that withdrew the liquidity out of the HXY pool. So apparently, the entity that withdrew all of the HXY out of the Uniswap liquidity pool got their coins, and then what happened is diehard community members started depositing liquidity into the Uniswap pool in order to try and help stabilize it. As that happened, the centralized liquidity pool that was withdrawn, I assume it was the devs, started dumping small amounts of coins on the heads of the diehard users that injected liquidity into the pool. That doesn't bode very well. I mean, like, they pull the liquidity pool out, which is, I think it's like $200,000 or $400,000 worth of ETH combined with HXY. Just assume the HXY is worthless. But the ETH, the reason they pulled it is because they want their ETH, right? Now, this is just my opinion. They claim it's because of a bug. I thought they claimed that their code was audited, but it's funny when you start finding bugs in audited code. I mean, that's weird. Anyway, so what happens is they pull all their liquidity out of the pool, and then diehard users start putting their liquidity into the pool, and then they started dumping on the heads of the people that put liquidity in the pool for the betterment of the community. Like, you can verify this. This was told to me, and I was shown screenshots of this. I'm not going to point out who sent it to me, but it's a very, very intelligent individual kind of sent me these screenshots on the download illustrating that the HXY probably the devs were dumping on their own on people that were providing liquidity to the pool. Very, very ominous, and this is why in Hex we're unaffected. Why? Because there's no promises whatsoever. I am curious, as an aside, as to what percentage of our Hex liquidity pool in Uniswap is owned by single entities. That'd be interesting to know. I don't know what it is, but I assume it's at least one. We know that it's with Hexy. We know that it's one. Let me see what else I have here on my agenda. Yes, we talked about the HXY flash crash, 90% in 10 minutes. That smear can never be cleaned off, in my opinion. As a counter argument to that, though, there was a time when Bitcoin flash crashed. I believe it was after the $30 peak. Bitcoin flash crashed down to like a penny. But I believe it was due to Mt. Gox malfunctioning. I believe Mt. Gox malfunctioned, which was the only Bitcoin exchange really at the time. I believe Mt. Gox malfunctioned, and that's what caused the flash crash. It's strange things have happened in Bitcoin too. There was a lot of shadiness on Mt. Gox back in the day. But Uniswap defeats the possibility of a lot of that shadiness even happening. Uniswap is decentralized, nobody owns it, nobody can shut it down. Only thing that can be done is a centralized entity can pull the liquidity pool. Which is exactly what happened. Which is now dumping on the true believers. I saw a video, this is my last point, and then I'm going to get to comments. This is my last agenda point. I watched this video by this Swedish guy named Adrian Eisen this morning. There's a really, I enjoy his videos sometimes. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, but he has creative thought processes. When you watch videos, you don't have to necessarily assume that everything everyone says is 100%, just concrete truth. And I'm not saying he's making stuff up. He could be 100% concrete truth. But the thing that I especially like about him is he has creative thought processes. He imagines new ideas, and they're really innovative, I think. I like catching his videos just to see if I can pick up anything and kind of walk the dog on any of his ideas. And today is one of those times. He said that it is possible for staking percentage to be as low as 1% in November around Big Payday. And the math that he used was what he did was he calculated the current number or the current percentage drop in total staking percentage daily, and he extrapolated that out over the next 140 or 150 days, however many days there are left in the adoption amplifier. And so right now, I think he said we're losing 0.12% staking per day, which basically means that everybody who gets coins out of the AA is not staking for the most part. And he extrapolated to the future that if this continues, that by November, that we're going to be down to 1% staking, which would incur a 369% APR yearly for anybody that was staking, which is massive. So what he was implying was that if the trend continues, that anybody that's staking right now is going to see massive rewards if the trend continues the way it is. I don't think the trend is going to continue the way it is. Quite honestly, I'm pretty sure that staking is going to probably skyrocket around Big Payday as people attempt to collect on the Big Payday payout. So that's a cool video. Adrian Eisen, Phone INF. You might want to check that out. Just came out, I think today or yesterday. And then I was watching, this is kind of a conspiracy theory right here that I'm going to go over. This is my last agenda item. This is a conspiracy theory. I don't know if this is fact. This is just me talking about my feelings. I don't know. But I was watching a video earlier, and I've noticed this multiple times, and I'm not saying this in a derogatory manner. I'm not saying this in a criticizing manner at all. I'm not saying this negatively. This is just an observation. I have noticed when I watch videos with Richard Hart that at times I don't believe he 100% understands how the protocol works. Now that may just be that he is thinking on the fly and he's talking and it's so complicated that it's not coming to him. But I almost, like, this is just a conspiracy theory. If it's true that it's possible that he doesn't 100% know how, like, the tiny nitty gritty details of the protocol work, maybe he's a front man. Maybe he actually doesn't have any access to the OA at all. Maybe he doesn't have access to the ETH liquidity pools, none of this stuff. It's possible that he doesn't have access to any of it. Because think about it this way. We have no idea who actually wrote this protocol. He's a secret. And I see Richard in his videos kind of not trip up, but he makes guesses sometimes about the very fine intricacies of the protocol. It was a video that Hex Clips released today where I noticed that he kind of tripped up just a little bit. And it just makes me wonder, what if Richard is a front man for this protocol and there's actually something else going on in the back? I think there's a non-zero possibility of that being true. And it's not the first time that I've seen him trip up with things. Now, there's also the opposing view that, yeah, he's just recording video. You know, you got some of the stuff is really complicated, and no matter who you are, you're going to trip up if you're talking about this stuff live and you're not sitting there deeply thinking about what you're saying. That's also possible. So that conspiracy theory could be total garbage. I'm very open to that. And that was not a point of criticism at all. It's a complicated protocol. It's just little tidbits that I've noticed. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I just want to express that I think it is a non-zero possibility that Richard has absolutely no ownership over the OA whatsoever, and that some other entity is in charge of it, because I just see hints that a lot of the design may not have been 100%, may not have been 100% him. But anyway, that's just very, very respectably trying to put those details out there. Nothing, no negativity putting out from there. Chris Richards says, where does one sign up for this cult? You go to hex.doctor. That is where you go. You go to a website called hex.doctor, and you, from there, you can go to go.hex.win, or you can go to hexdex.win. There's a whole bunch of sites. There's a lot of ways to join the cult. I mean, if you want to join in, hex.doctor is the easiest way. You go there and you'll figure it out. It's pretty good. Dolomite says the cult of trustless interests. That's true. Vince Chang says he wanted to pop in and say good morning. Good morning, Vince. He's still time-stamping. Oh my goodness. He's still time-stamping Friday's Discord Syndicate video, but should be done in a couple of hours. Oh man, Vince is the time-stamping champion. No joke. He is. Oh, look at, I got Steph in here. Early stream. What is up, Steph? If I'm sure every one of y'all has been to Hex.live, but y'all, Hex.live, in my opinion, is the coolest Hex site in existence. I mean, can you really deny that? Can you really argue? I don't know. Okay, you can argue that Firebund's site, Hex.vision, you can argue that it's it depends on who you are. I like how pretty Hex.live is. I think some people may like Hex.vision more because it has more fine detail. But man, Hex.live, that's a pretty website. It's gorgeous. It's definitely a close tie between Hex.vision and Hex.live. No joke. Both are very good sites. I just can't do Hex.vision on my phone very well, so I don't use it a lot. I like to get Vince to go do it for me. Thank you, Vince, for operating this site for me. Crypto Kobe says, where are you, Hexo? You got a new channel? Got to subscribe. Yeah, Hexo apparently has a few ghost YouTube channels floating around out there. Yeah, we got to check them out. See if we. I tried to subscribe the other day, and I don't know if I could get it to work. Hexologist Clips is the new channel. Crypto Goose says, "Hey GT boys, girls, and others." What's up, Crypto Goose? Good to see you, my man. Dolomite is going to get a stamp on his shirt that says "Cult of the Trustless Games." That's cool. That is cool. Oh, Steph says currently HXY liquidity on Uniswap V2 is $3,495. Wow, that's a little low. I wonder what that candle's looking like. Just curious. It's a morbid curiosity at this point. It really doesn't matter. That project has been destroyed, in my opinion. Once you get a candle that's that nasty, yeah, there's no coming back from that. I don't think. But I could be wrong. Yeah, I'm just seeing 7 ETH in the entire 7 ETH plus 613 hexi. So that's like $1,400 worth of ETH times 2, $3,800. Not a lot of liquidity in there. Hasn't really moved. Man, that must be a really bad bug. It's really sad that the audit didn't catch that bug. I wonder who their auditors are. Oof. Yikes. You would think that an audit would catch that bug, but very, very strange. Very strange indeed. I'm going to try to stop talking about those guys. I mean, in my opinion, it's over. We got the red candle. It dropped 90%. To me, the number means everything. The price means everything. The price is the oracle that determines everything. And that oracle for HXY showed it can do negative 90% in 10 minutes. That's the end all be all to me. I have nothing left to say about it. That's it. If anybody wants to get involved with something that drops 90% in 10 minutes. You know, somebody also messaged me a little while ago. They said that I should say this. I'm not much of a crybaby. So I don't find it necessary to talk about what I'm going to say, but it's amazing the HXY community. I get messages from people all day long about what's going on in Hex and all these other communities. They are actually paying members of their community to report me on YouTube and Twitter in an attempt to ban me. Now this isn't the first time that I've experienced something like that, and nobody's ever succeeded. I've had cults hate me before, believe it or not. This is not the first time, and they've never been successful at getting me banned. I don't think this time is going to be any different. But the HXY admins or whatever in their channel are literally paying people real money to. They're paying. I can't remember if they're paying people in Hex or HXY. If it's HXY, it's not real money because it can't be traded. But Hex, I think they're paying people like 1,000 Hex to report me on YouTube right now. It really shows you the moral integrity of these folks. It's very bad. There's also members of their community that have been telling just straight out lies about me, and also talking about things that are clearly none of their business. I've never said anything bad about anybody. I've never attacked anybody's person. I've made a very conscious effort to not cuss at people. I've made a very conscious effort to not attack anyone's character. I don't like to leverage ad hominem attacks. It's just not my style. I don't do that. And most of us here are more concerned with attacking the arguments and not the person. And it's very disgraceful what their community has done. Doesn't bother me. I wouldn't bring it up unless I had gotten so many messages of people asking me to bring it up, because I frankly don't care. But yeah, so that's just me to appease people asking that wanted me to say that they're paying people to try to get me banned from platforms. That just shows the kind of character they are, and it is what it is. I don't think any of y'all will be surprised by that news at all. But it is what it is. Hex Groiper says, if the HXY bug was found inside a side DApp, why not just unregister that compromised DApp in the main contract? That is the function of the main contract, plugging and unplugging different DApps. Yeah, I don't think the bug is actually really why they pulled liquidity. They pulled liquidity because they wanted to halt trading. They wanted to halt trading because the price was going down. The price was going down because everybody realized that it is a promise coin. It is a coin that is based on promises that income will be generated by dApps that currently, to my knowledge, do not exist. It's a promise coin, y'all. It is what it is. And when everybody figures out that it's a promise coin, they want to abandon ship. I mean, you don't take a coin like Hex that is defined and founded upon the principle of no promises. Every video I've ever seen with Richard Hart, he says no promises. I mean, he makes that abundantly clear. That is his goal, is to have no promises. And then somebody gets the wise idea that they want to, it's not built on top of Hex, so I'm not going to say built on top of, but they want to use the Hex name in their business name when their entire project is built on promises. Guys, this is very obviously not going to work well. And everybody who's holding Hexy right now, they can't get out. They're stuck. They can't sell. Their coin is essentially worth zero right now. Sad, very sad. But I mean, this is why I do these streams, to try to warn you all ahead of time of what's coming. I've been in this crypto thing since almost the beginning. And when I see something shady like this, I want to let y'all know. RR says, nice weapon. Yeah, that's, I tell you what, that gun right there is probably illegal in Puerto Rico. That one that you're looking at right there, if I had to bet money, I would say it is a felony to own that rifle in Puerto Rico. It's got a 40-round magazine in it, among other things. Those items are not legal in, for instance, Maryland. That gun is totally illegal in Maryland, California, New York, probably Connecticut. I'm almost certain it's illegal in Puerto Rico. And I'll tell you what, guys, I'd rather pay 20% long-term capital gains taxes than give up that firearm. 100%. It's just about what you value in life. You know, whatever you value is what you got to stand by. And y'all know what I stand by. Completed projects, that's what I stand by. Starcode says it was a hacker on Mount Gox. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so it wasn't Jed McCaleb or Mark Carpellas necessarily that did it. Maybe it was. Maybe they hacked their own exchange. RR says, so HXY should probably be audited and the ability to pull liquidity should probably not happen. Maybe. I mean, I think that they should just build something without promises and then deliver it. I'm not a fan of promise coins, y'all. It's just, and I do think that it's probably incorrect for me to call it an ICO. It just has ICO vibes. I don't think it is an ICO. Technically, if we get down to the raw basic definitions of what an ICO is, but it's a promise coin. And I like that term better because it's more accurate. Not a fan of promise coins, folks. I don't think most of you are either. That's why we're in Hex. The only reason anybody got into that system is because they wanted to multiply their Hex. That's it. People want to multiply their Hex. And I don't think utilizing a promise coin to multiply your Hex is a great idea. Crypto Goose says, I also found out that small HXY holders who freeze their coins cannot obtain divs. This bug is now realized and they are trying to address it, but not good for those smaller guppies. Yeah, you can't, there's not enough money circulating into the transform lobby for anybody to get good div payouts. It's a total mess. I think the situation could probably get worse, honestly. If you have money in HXY right now, I don't think it's a certainty that you're ever going to get your money out of it. Quite honestly, I would say that there's probably a 50% chance or greater chance that you'll never see your money again. Sorry. Hexman said it would be great if you could have a conversation on Discord. Hexman, I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't think I've ever even used Discord. I don't barely even know what it is. YouTube, from what I've seen, YouTube is, I don't know, what is Discord? Is that like that's like where everybody gets in a chat room and talks? Does Hex have a Discord where y'all get in there and talk all the time? I'm just not super familiar with it. Hexman says Adrian's video about percentage and staking was huge. Steph says Adrian simply took the percentage decrease for the last day only and extrapolated over the next few weeks. Using a moving average would have been a bit more interesting in my opinion. Yeah, that's the thing about Adrian's, and that's why I said that I wouldn't take his videos as necessarily concrete truth, is because sometimes his math doesn't, like Steph just said, talking about, it'd be better to turn it into a moving average. His math will sometimes look at the very near term movement and then kind of extrapolate that wildly. And I don't think that's always going to be statistically the right thing to do. But I mean, it makes for really interesting. It makes for interesting thoughts. He makes you think. That's what I like about him the most. I don't know that everything he says is right. Maybe everything I say is not right. People are fallible, but he makes you think. I like that, and I think maybe that is. I'm not talking right today. Maybe that is why people like watching me as well, is because I make them think or get them thinking about things they wouldn't have otherwise thought about. Chris Richards, OA stands for the origin address. Gifting you hex. Gifting you hex. The game theory is complex when he pauses and contemplates before answering. Yep, it could be. I think he is walking through the modules, but also considering that's 100% possible. So gifting you hex, Gary says that it's very possible that Richard is just going through such a complex thought pattern that there are so many variables involved that he doesn't want to lay out a concrete answer because there's so many variables. It's very possible it's very possible that he understands the protocol better than the dev that wrote it. It's very possible. These are just very, very loose ideas. I don't think that's the case. Personally, I've watched him enough that I think that the guy that wrote it probably understands it better than he does. And that's not a derogatory thing. That's just trying to. It's more of a detective point, trying to deduce who owns the OA, which we'll never know. We'll never know. We'll never know who owns the OA. It's not our business who owns the OA, quite honestly. Just like, well, I'm not going to go there. Yeah, Mo Crypto says, greetings from Europe. Hello, Mo Crypto. Glad to see you from Europe. Tell me what country you're in Europe. Europe's a big place. You've got Portugal in Europe. You've got Russia in Europe. I mean, that's like it's like saying you're from America. California versus Florida. That's a big difference. Greetings from Europe. Loving your content. I hope in the future I can have a proper in-depth talk with you about certain subjects. Yeah, man. For sure. I chat. I get a lot of messages on Twitter, but sometimes I get really complicated questions on Twitter. A better place to send me really complicated questions is on Telegram, so I can just talk the answer, because it just takes a really long time to try to type out an answer, especially on a phone. Crypto Goose says, RH, Richard Hart, is secretive at times. When asked, he was very evasive of who built the Uniswap exchange. I don't think it's a secret who built Uniswap. Maybe you're talking about who seeded the Hex Ethereum pair on Uniswap, and that would be a very secretive thing. That would, to me, whoever seeded the Hex Uniswap pairing, Hex ETH pairing on Uniswap, that's just as big of a secret as who owns the OA, in my opinion, because it's probably the same person. Walter Aparicio, I definitely believe Richard is involved in terms of pushing the project, but the development is probably out of his hands. He just helps with the idea of how it should look like. I really agree with you there, Walter. I think he is definitely a guiding force, and somebody else is taking care of the details. I do believe that. Maximus 9 says, interesting how HXY dumps days after being put under extreme scrutiny on RG3's channel. Yeah, they just happened to find a bug 2 days after they got obliterated on stream. I don't buy it, guys. I do not buy it. I think that was an effort in, they're just halting the exchange. They wanted to halt trading. That's it. Goat Farmer says, Goose, do you think he built Uniswap? No, I don't think they built Uniswap. I think that I think what he was referring to is he was talking about who seeded Uniswap with liquidity. IMY says, hey GT, how much of your price calls are based on technical analysis, price action, or more unconventional, oh wow, or more unconventional methods like your knowledge of metaphysics? Oh man, that's a hell of a question. I'm going to tell you straight up that my predictions are not totally based on technical analysis. I will tell you that with 100% certainty. Um, I'll give you that. I shouldn't have even said that, but I'll tell you that. Um, that's as far as I will go. I will say that there's more than drawing lines. I'm not even going to say that it's astrological based or metaphysical based. I'm not even going to go into that far and say what it's based on. I'm going to say it's not like a lot of times I'll post on Twitter. I'll post charts, with Fibonacci retraces, Fibonacci circles, trend lines, moving averages, all these kind of things. Those are great, but I don't think that the predictions that I'm making could be made with those tools. I don't think they're advanced enough. They're too narrow. They're too shallow. They do not reveal enough, and I will tell you that the predictions that I'm making go beyond those 5 or 6 tools that I just listed. Definitely. It goes beyond that. Gifting You Hex says humans do a lot of weird things against their interests, like a husband that sells a car for $100 instead of giving it to his wife, or people that skydive without a parachute for a fraction of glory. Who skydives without a parachute? I never heard of that. That's new. I never heard of that one there. You're going to have to educate me on that one. I never heard about skydiving without a parachute. That sounds crazy. I think skydiving, period, is kind of crazy. Look, man, it's probably safer to do some kind of strange drugs or something, if I had to guess, because, man, that's, oof. I don't know. Everybody's different. Archie says, I think RH is more than likely a front man because he is smart and has more say than usual. It's very difficult to be everything at once. Richard Hart is a really good public speaker. He's very good at talking. It's amazing that he has all of the skills that he has, but it's difficult to be everything. It would be difficult for him to have all of those skills that he has, plus being a down in the weeds programmer that was able to code hex all by himself. I don't know of anybody that has that level of breadth to themselves. It's just not going to find it. Hexologist Clips says, thanks, GoodTexture. Yeah, guys, if you want to learn about Hex, you go to hex.doctor. And I really just say that. Number one, it's beneficial to hexologists when I say that. Number two, it's just really easy. It's really easy, man. Hexologist just sent me a private message, Etherscan. All right, let me check my DM real quick. Let me see what the doctor has to say here. He has an Etherscan address, and he's typing. Let me see this Etherscan address. This might be a... Oh man, I'm getting blowed up. Big yikes. Big yikes. Interesting. The liquidity provider for HXY looks like they're dispersing their coins to other platforms. Interesting. Okay. Very interesting. Yeah, but hex.doctor is a really easy website. It's easier to me than hex.win because it's like, how do you spell that? hex.when.wen.win.win? I mean, how do you spell that? But hex.doctor, bro, first grader could spell that. It's a really good URL. It's a brilliant URL. Man, I'm really way behind on the chat here. So if you want to learn about hex, go to hex.doctor. Floyd says, good thing they are teaming up on Staker, and then you won't have to choose. Man, can you imagine if Steph and Firebun have a code baby? Man, two brilliant guys. The two best websites in Hex by a very large margin. Can you imagine if they have a code baby? That's going to be cool to see, man. That's going to be cool to see. Alan Bittner says, "Oh no, I'm late, but luckily GT streams for 5 hours." Yeah, those are long streams I've been having. Steph says he noticed RH tripping up as well, but it has more to do with the game theory being quite complex. The frontman theory is very unlikely, but RH would himself love people to believe that. Yeah, he might like that, wouldn't he? He is. I think he's a frontman, guys. I really do. I don't know if I really think that. But, and y'all, I'm sorry I got my shirt unbuttoned, but it's hot. It's really hot. I was thinking a lot about today about boosting my solar system and getting a couple of AC DC converters and air conditioners, but uh, it's very difficult for me to spend money on something like that with crypto being in the state that it's in. I can't stand spending money right now, I'll tell you that much. Markimus Maximus says, I'd rather the OA not exist, and I don't know why people don't talk about it more. It's the one thing that could screw everyone. Yeah, he's right. I mean, if the OA decides to destroy the protocol, they can destroy the protocol. Just like what we're seeing right now with the HXY people pulling the liquidity pool on Uniswap. You know, if the OA owns the entire liquidity pool, I guess they could do the same thing. The difference is, and there's a big difference between Hexy and Hex. The difference is Hexy guys, they're all faceless, number one. I have no idea who any of these guys are. I don't know anything about their personalities. I haven't been watching videos of them for years. On the opposing side, Richard's not faceless, number one. We know we have an idea of who created the protocol. Now we have no idea that he owns the OA. He may not. But I have a very, very strong suspicion that Richard actually wants Hex to succeed. I believe that. I do not have that inclination towards other promise coins. If this was a pump and dump, Richard could have just made a promise coin just like HXY. It'd be a lot simpler. You know how much simpler it would be? You know how much money he would have saved by making a promise coin instead of the protocol that we have today? He would have saved an enormous amount of money, and he would have been able to exit scam so much easier, and people probably would have bought it anyway. He might have been able to finagle the narrative enough so that people just didn't care. He's a smart guy. I would not put it past Richard to be able to dream up a way to sell us a promise coin. He's extremely, now it wouldn't be framed as a promise coin, but I think he has the intelligence to do it. And he didn't. I think that says a lot about the future of the project. And I think he genuinely wants it to succeed, because when you watch him destroy people like Tone Vase, you can tell he's in this for more than just the money, yo. Money's not everything to everybody. You know, sometimes to me, this isn't even about the money. And it's been that way for a while. Being in crypto to me is not 100% about the money. It's more to it than that. It's definitely more to it than that. Ernest Young says the bug happened in an add-on to the contract after the audit. Still very bad. Yeah, anytime a coin drops 90% in 10 minutes, sorry. Ugh, Starcode says my sound is not good, cracking and popping. Man, I hate to hear that. Do y'all have any suggestions for alternate? I'm using StreamYard right now, and my audio is terrible. I've been having audio problems. I don't know what to do. I need to get in. It's application based. It's not the headset, because my audio is really good on Discord Syndicate. So maybe if I pull my headset out, it'll be better. Maybe way out here it won't crack so bad. Yeah, I need to figure that out. Gifting You Hex says, not financial advice, but can you comment more on how small it takes to move the price of Hex? You know, 10 people that take home equity loan can pull 5 million together. People always think whales have to move the price. Yeah, anybody, you know, I think it's $4 million to a penny right now, y'all. $4 million. Four, $4 million to a penny. This is hilarious. Okay, hold on. Let me look. There's a good. Conrad created a really. Oh man, this is so funny. Okay, uh, Google just real hex price increase calculator. This is something that Conrad Zen did, and it's basically the same math as what I have. Oh, look at that. We're at 0027 price on hex right now. Could see 0025, y'all. Could see 0025. It is a possibility. It is a possibility. I can't operate this website. Okay, well, anyway, I think I can't operate this website. It won't work. Oh, I see why. Because you can't move enough boxes. Okay, so let me see. 20. I think it's 17,000 Ethereum to a penny. Yeah, about 18,000. 18,000 Ethereum to a penny right now. Guys, $18,000 to a penny. This calculator actually isn't as. I thought this thing updated in real time. This calculator's a little difficult to use actually. It's got a lot of things hard coded into it. Like the hex price in this calculator is hard coded. That's not cool. Anyway, $4 million to go to a penny, guys. I mean, it has the lowest liquidity in all of crypto. Love your content. Sound is good enough. Good. I'm glad it's good enough. I'm gonna keep trying to improve this. I'm gonna try to improve this. GT Crypto Coffee says you might need an external sound card like Focusrite to stop the clipping. Okay, that's a good idea. Is that possible on Android, Crypto Coffee? Because I'm on a Android phone for power reasons. I'm running this phone like right now as we speak off of a solar panel. Well, actually, a lot of solar panels. Anything that's low power would be better. If it's anything that plugs into USB would be better. Man, I'm way behind on messages, y'all. Way behind. By the way, as I always say, y'all make this show. I had a very short agenda at the beginning of this show, and I went through it really quick. And everything else, this is y'all, man. This is everything y'all are doing. Okay. The bug happened. Okay. Sound is not good. But yeah, Gary, $4 million. How hard is it to get $4 million? I could probably find, $4 million worth of people in my town, easy. Just people that I know that could pull together $4 million. I mean, it's not that crazy, and all you have to have is one injection. Y'all remember what happened last time when the Genesis whale popped that thing off back on April 18th, 18th, 19th, something like that. Y'all remember when he popped it off? It grew legs. And well, folks, also speaking of that, today's date is June 29th. It's June 29th, guys. Y'all know what's coming soon. Y'all know what's coming soon? Yeah, July's here. July is almost here. Now, I wouldn't expect any fireworks in the first day or two of July, but man, I hope this prediction's right, because I'm just kind of putting pressure on myself. Like, I'm gonna be disappointed in myself if it's not right. I really will. More disappointed than anyone else will be. I promise you. I will be more disappointed in myself than any of you will be. I guarantee you. I guarantee you that. B. Brown says, I think Rich may not know the ins and outs of the contract because he had the idea of what he wanted to achieve, but not the skills to code it and how to make it happen. It's a really good point. B. Brown. Anderson Bradley McGregor says, "Don't worry about the popping and cracking." Well, I'm still gonna try to do. I'm glad it's listenable. I need to get something done about it though. It's just not pleasing. People tell me that I have a pleasing voice, or some kind of voice at least, and having a bunch of popping and cracking in it is, or at least they say I have a ASMR voice. maybe not pleasing, but it's all. But Mike D says there isn't a good game theory reason for the OA to implode Hex when they already have the ETH from the AA. No financial reason to do so. I don't see any different than Satoshi BTC. Yeah, that's true. The difference is Satoshi. He wasn't alive that long after BTC launched. He died. It's almost certain that it was Hal Finney. I would be very, 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 very surprised if it wasn't Hal Finney. Brian Jones says, I dislike it so much in the community when people straw man and do ad hominem attacks. Yeah, me too, Brian Jones. It really classifies a person's intelligence when they have to resort to ad hominem attacks, because the first resort of someone losing an argument is personal attacks. And when somebody is resorting to personal attacks, it just shows that they have run out of options and that you have obliterated them intellectually so deeply that it's all they have. It's all they have. It is what it is. Y'all are smart enough to see that, though. That's the thing. When you're in the presence of intelligent people, you do not have to leverage ad hominem attacks. Ad hominem attacks are only convincing to people with really low IQs. If someone has a high IQ, if someone's smart, ad hominem attacks, they immediately pick them out and say, what are you doing? And y'all are smart people. That's why you don't have to ad hominem back at people, because y'all already know the game. Y'all already know what's up. Y'all already know it's silly. Brian Jones says it's definitely dividing the Hex community in general. I think the discussion is good, though, because hard questions need to be asked, like we're all used to. I agree with Hexologist, where I just like Hex. I don't think it's dividing the community at all, quite honestly. I think that the Hex community itself is based on a completed project. It's based on completion and lack of promises. I think the Hex community understands that. I don't think the Hex community is really that divided at all. I think the vast majority of people understand that we are here because the project is complete. It's not everybody understands that. Brian Jones says, this is Ballier Brand, by the way. Great to see all of you in GoodTexture. Good to see you, Ballier Brand. You might want to synchronize your names across different platforms, because it's going to make it difficult for people to recognize you. Steph says, the timing of bug narrative is so convenient. Statistically very improbable. Yeah, 100%. It's statistically improbable that they would all of a sudden have audited code that found a bug 2 days after Discord's syndicate ripped them a new one. I haven't heard a lot from, well, anyway. Markimus Maximus 9 says, what makes someone think there's no reason to take both the ETH and the OA money? Future profits. I mean, if you can run away with the ETH and the OA right now, but it doesn't make sense, because the coin is actually so promising that the profit that would be realized from actually continuing the project normally, you would end up making a lot more gains than if you exit scammed. I mean, it doesn't, because the project actually is built well. The projects that exit scam, they do so because they're not built well. But if you have a project that's actually built well, the future potential that could come into that project far outweighs the near-term reward of an exit scam. And thankfully, anybody who's smart enough to create Hex, they're also smart enough to understand that the near-term reward from exit scamming is just paltry compared to the long-term gains that are possible. And this is all about long-term gains. I guarantee you that. Hexman says they are fake hexagons. The real hexagons stick to each others. I think real hexagons stick to the original intended goal of completion and no promises. To me, that's what a hexagon is. No promises. Firebun, what's going on, my man? I've been digging really deep. Code tests, audit, promises early on, seeing how things changed since Discord Syndicate in May. Good to see you, Firebun. Really good guy. Lazor is in the house. Archie says, hey man, RG3 gives you a hard time on the streams. No, he doesn't. If you think RG3 is giving me a hard time, then his mission has been accomplished. No. I'm surprised he's from California. He reminds me of, I don't know, maybe it's just the time period. I have a lot of friends that are, and he's not old. He pretends to be old, but he's not actually old. But I love that generation that he's in. They have a lot of wisdom. I like talking to those people. And he likes to pretend like he's old. He's trying to put out a sob story. He's not old. Every time. But yeah. Brian Jones, Firebone, great to see you, friend. Visiteur, GT, hi my friend. What is your all-time high prediction for Hex in 2021 and 2022? I only have 2 predictions right now, and that's it. July, 1 penny, and 33 cents by end of 2020. Oh, I'm getting a private message about a preamp that could help my phone. That'd be really cool, man. Y'all are so helpful. Yeah, I've got those 2 predictions right now. If the July 1 penny prediction, I'm really pushing it out to about August the 3rd or the 4th. I'll give myself until August 3rd or 4th. If we get a penny by then I'll start rolling out new predictions. But if I can't get a penny in July correct, then there's really no point in me even putting out more predictions, because I'm in this to be right. I'm not in this just to goose people, you know. But if July penny comes, I'll definitely get going a little more. Brian Jones says, I just bought a Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 2 AR-15. Can't wait to shoot 223 and 5.56 by 45 through it. That's a good gun, man. That's a Cadillac. Brian Jones over here bought a Cadillac. He bought a Cadillac and calls it an AR-15. That's a nice gun. This one back here that I have in the back, I built this one. It's actually a pistol. It's not a rifle, it's a pistol. It's tiny. It's the only way that you can really get a pistol is if you take a stripped AR-15 lower and build it yourself. That way you can put whatever kind of barrel on it you want, as long as you have the proper stock on it. It's probably only a matter of time. Man, I don't want to get into off topic talking about guns. I could talk about guns. Matt Van says, attacking Steph. What? Attacking Steph at Firebun. I don't understand that comment. Mike D says, it would lampoon the project. GT made the possible case that the OA might serve as a nuclear deterrent to any people who try to fork the coin. Absolutely. I mean, there's a coin out right now that's promising to airdrop to hex holders, which I think they've also suffered like a 90% drop. If they did somehow do that, the price would be obliterated. I'm sure the OA would come in there and turn that entire protocol to glass. Maybe. But they're not even going to deliver anyway. Promises don't come through. Anderson Bradley McGregor, good to see you. They build these ulterior dApps in the name of onboarding, but have become fleas and ticks infesting a pit bull puppy's behind. Wow, strong words. Strong words, Anderson. Gifting You Hex says these places support gun rights. 9 states have no capital gains tax rate. Yeah, but you're not going to be able to evade federal gains. Alaska, Florida, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, Wyoming. Yeah, they may not have. Wait. I think those states you can evade, or you don't have to pay capital gains to the state, but you still got to pay federal capital gains tax. You still got to pay it to the federal government, even if you're in one of those 9 states. And they do, yeah, Tennessee's pretty good. It's okay. It's pretty good. It's not better than Idaho and Mississippi, though. Hexman, I got in slow because Richard, for me, has been the most honest person in crypto since I got in. You know, he tells things how it is. He just tells things straight up. He tells the truth. That's the thing about Richard. That's what's so cool about him, is he doesn't mince words. He just lays it down. You either accept it or you don't. Adam says Discord is not as interactive as Telegram in terms of casual chatting. Stick to Telegram. Okay. Visitor, could we still reach your 33-cent prediction if whales and weak hands keep selling their hex each time after a big pump? That's a really ambiguous thing. That's making an assumption that, I mean, it depends. Look. Let me just put this simply. If there's more money coming in than going out, yes, the price is going to pump. If somebody right now injects $45 million into hex, straight up, it's 33 cents. It's that simple. $45 million, 33 cents. Bitcoin volume daily is like $17 billion with a B, and hex needs 45 million injection to get to 33 cents. It's not that big of a deal, guys. It's just not that big of a deal. These predictions that I'm making are conservative. You got to understand the dynamics of how this thing works. There's just not, it just doesn't take that much. And that's why, you know, people were talking yesterday, you know, Binance was trying to get people to shill them coins to list on Binance. And I'm like, no, don't list hex on Binance. We want pumpability. I would assume that if they were to be listed on Binance, that would multiply the liquidity pool that was available to investors, and it would stifle price pumping to a degree. It would stabilize price, in my opinion. If it was on Binance, it would stabilize price. I guess that really depends on how big the liquidity pool on Binance is, though. Like if the liquidity pool on Binance was tiny, you know, if it was like, you know, 500 million hex or less, it really wouldn't have an effect in that case. So it really depends on what the liquidity pool of Binance would be. James Caldwell, good to see you, my friend. James Caldwell is a very, very smart man. He is one of those guys that you want to pay attention to. Y'all should follow him on Twitter if you aren't already. He's got some really good comments. James Caldwell says, I tried to look at the Hexy source code on Etherscan. Some of the contracts do not have verified source code on Etherscan. This includes a contract for which you approve funds to be spent by the contract. James Caldwell, that sounds horrible. That's very unsettling. That's very disturbing. And I think it's worse than any of us could have ever imagined. Sad. Look at this guy. Josh Richardson says, you have always been good at inspiring people to think. I appreciate that, Josh Richardson. That's a great comment. Good to have you on the stream, my friend. Good to see you. Inspire people to think. I like doing that. Gifting You Hex says, Adrian puts the ideas in the head of the audience. It's up to them to do the math and the analysis. Yeah, he said something about $17,000 hex. I don't know about that. That's a little... Oof. Mo Crypto says he's in Germany. Well done. Well done. Good place. Hexman says Adrian's really focused on game theory. He is eating, drinking, breathing game theory. Yeah, he does a lot of thinking. You can tell he does a lot of thinking. And you know, he's also into this DTube thing. You know, maybe he's onto something with that DTube. Maybe it's a good protocol. You know, I don't know a ton about it, but maybe it's good. Bono Vox says, yeah, please get in contact with Adrian. You know, he's hard to contact. He's hard to get in touch with. I don't know. He posts on Twitter, but he doesn't really do replies on Twitter. He doesn't do replies on YouTube. He seems very anti something. I don't know what. He's anti something. Big Smock Crypto says Hex always gave me a 2018 What? Oh, HXY, sorry. HXY always gave me a 2018 platform vibe. I'm glad I didn't get in. Well, you know, Big Smart Crypto, if you got in, at this point, you cannot get out. You cannot sell because the exchange has been essentially shut down. It is closed for business. Closed for business, folks. No HXY trading for y'all. Very sorry. Crypto Goose, I know who owns the OA. RH said in his interview with Eric Wall that it is an African priest. Oh, it's a shaman. It's an African shaman. He is a witch doctor. That is who owns the OA. He's a witch doctor. Mike D says, aside from the way Hex is designed, my confidence is in the code. For Richard to be executing some kind of exit scam would be the longest, most grueling, complicated long con in history. Yeah, he's right. I mean, I think it's beyond that. Like, not only would it be a long con, but it's like you make more money if you do it right. You make more money if you do this thing right. That's why it was designed as beautifully as it was. It was designed to be done right. You look at some projects, you can't say that for everybody. Let's pick on Cardano later. Promise coin. Gifting you Hex. My friend Gary says, Crypto Goose, it was more about the Uniswap website interface, not including Hex in dropdowns. The contract writers were annoyed that Hex is most of the volume on V1. Yeah, they've got a little bit of censorship going on over there at Uniswap, which is funny. Well, because I feel like I've seen on Uniswap V2, I've seen Hex scam tokens in the drop-down menu, but not Hex itself. I think. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if that's true. Lazarus said, just explaining the BPD and what makes it increase and decrease daily is complex. Everything about Hex is complex. Just take it when we say it. Buy in. Stake long. You do well. Crypto Goose says, when promoting Hex, we should not only promote that it is 100% complete, but that it has 100% uptime with no bugs realized. You know, not a single bug has ever, you know, and there's a lot of projects that do that. There's an alternate to Linux called the Berkeley Software Distribution, or BSD, and there's a version of BSD called OpenBSD that openly advertises one of their number one selling points is the number of remote bugs that have been found in the protocol. And the number of remote bugs that have been found in the protocol is extremely low. So we should also advertise that for Hex, that the number of exploits that have been found for Hex is non-existent. Zero bugs, 100% complete, 100% uptime, time deposit. Treadrap says, hey GT, hi from Canada. I put in $5,000 into Hexy. Why did you do that? Why did you do that? I'm sorry. I'm glad it. Oh man, I hope that wasn't your Man, I'm sorry to hear that. Give us more details if you want to. I hope you get your 5K back. I think it's possible that you won't, as is the case with a lot of promise tokens. Mike D says Hex will be so much easier to onboard, folks, once AA is over. Just have to explain coin supply, staking, interest, no BPD. You know, I don't think that part is actually going to change. You know, right now, for the small fish, I would just tell them to use Uniswap. You know, you're not going to. The only reason that the AA transform is really a good idea is for people that have stacks that are so big that they would cause a lot of slippage on Uniswap. For those people, if they get in early before the recycler, I think they'll do really well. You got to make sure you get in early on the transform, though. If you get in at 6:59 p.m. every day after the recycler has already done its thing, you're not going to do very well. But if you get in early, I think, I guess that's a big no-no that I'm talking about the recycler, but it seems pretty obvious to me that that's happening. Not that I don't think it's bad. I think it's a price stabilization feature, to be honest. And it's a military armament feature, to be honest. I don't think it's a negative thing. And I don't think it's necessarily Richard that's doing it. I don't think Richard even is behind the whole thing in some ways, but I really believe that. Anyway, where was I going with that? Crypto Coffee. I love this guy. Y'all, Crypto Coffee is, man, that is one of the coolest guys. Hey, we're both quarter Sicilian. Or at least he says he's quarter Italian. I'm quarter Sicilian. We got a lot of Italian guys in this chat today, actually. Crypto Coffee says, I think Richard Hart is a hologram. All right. Richard Crypto Coffee says, there is only an idea of a Richard Hart, some kind of abstraction. The man, the myth. Maybe so. Maybe he is a hologram. Have any of you actually ever seen Richard in person? I want to ask that. Have any of you ever seen Richard Hart in person? Is he a real man? Okay, if you have seen him in person, do you know that he's not an android? Is he a cybernetic organism or is he actually human? How do you know? Have you done a CT scan on him? Have you checked? Just saying, guys, if he's a hologram, maybe he's a cybernetic organism. Never know. All right, Gary Gifting Hex says you can get an efficient ice maker. I got one right behind me. Pretty good. You can get an efficient ice maker, then put the ice in a 5-gallon bucket and let breeze blow over it, or low draw small fan to blow over it. Yeah, that would work. It's pretty good cooling, better than AC. Better than AC. Wow, better than AC? That's interesting. I must be getting like some epic detox. I'm sweating every day though. That must be. It's gotta be healthy, right? Don't people go to saunas because they want to sweat more? Lazarus says, yep, if someone wanted to approach a larger exchange, it would need to be after BPD and eventual upward movement in volume. Okay. Archie says, RH is the big picture man. He is smart on detail too, though. Yeah, agreed. Anthropos says, audio is fine. Awesome. Bonovox says, buy a microphone. I get lots of. This is a microphone. I got a microphone right here. I just need some help. Oh man. Aku Singewurst says, yes, finally caught a live stream of GoodTexture. Greetings everybody from the stormy seas in the Netherlands. Oh, we got a Viking. Are Vikings from the Netherlands? Good to have you here. Good to have you here. Cryptic Coffee says, GT, you might need an external sound card like a Focusrite to stop the clipping. Good idea. Richard wants to create new billionaires to help him to invest in life extension. Yep, that seems to be the case. That seems to be the case. Alone, he can't do it. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Kai says, hi. Hello, Kai. What's going on? ES says, hey, GT, love your content. Sound is good enough. Awesome, guys. I think I've got a lot of messages flowing through here telling me how to fix my mic, so I might check that out here in the near future. Just might check that out here in the near future. Gunning Gamut says being in crypto is a way of life. Seems to be. Archie says, Brian, nice to see drinkers on stream. Not too many with Hex. Yeah, y'all be slamming them down, don't you? GD says, dude, you make calls on price predictions in July, but can't back it up when asked. Yep. GT, hope you're not taking the Hex community for a ride like you did with the XRP army. Oh man, we got a sore fellow in here. I'll tell you what though. I told people to sell XRP at 40 cents, y'all. Anybody who listened to me, I did have some interesting predictions regarding XRP as I was learning about it, but I told everybody to get out at 40 cents. I've got the tweets to prove it. Anybody who got in when I recommended, I mean, they came out okay. Anybody who got out when I recommended, they did fine. They did fine. There's a reason that I'm not backing up my Hex price predictions, though. One of the main reasons is I actually do affect these markets. I have myself, I pumped the Zcash price from the 20s to over $70 just by making tweets, just by making tweet storms. I pumped Zcash that hard. I can make a tweet about Hex, and within 5 minutes, there's a 15 million sell candle. So whenever I make comments, there are people out there with money that are listening. And there's a reason why I'm not going beyond what I'm saying right now. I don't want to disrupt this market. I don't want to bother it. I don't want people making decisions on predictions that I don't want them to make decisions on. It just is what it is. I don't want to disrupt anything. These things, I don't know how finely tuned these things are. I don't know how much of an influence me or you or any of us can have on the price right now. I don't know how much of what is happening is set in stone. I don't know how much us shilling hex even helps the price. I have no idea. And I don't want to find out in a bad way. I want to err on the side of caution. I will continue joking with people, telling them to emergency in-stake, though. That is not going to end. EIS says the crackling is only today. Last stream was perfect. That's sad. I wonder if there's a setting in this StreamYard thing that I can mess with. Probably not. There's not a lot of settings in this thing at all. I turned stereo off. Maybe that made it worse. I had it's on mono right now. I had it on stereo. Man, camcorder. I don't know. If I start messing with these settings, I'm gonna end up breaking the stream. I gotta play with some of these settings. I don't know. I might play with them in a little bit. Actually, I'm gonna scroll down to the bottom and change some of these settings. And y'all tell me if I destroy the stream. Alright, I hope I don't lose everything. Okay, I just changed the setting. Did it change anything at all? Is my, I think there's a big lag. There's like a 20-second lag at least between me talking and y'all seeing it. So I just changed to default audio source. Does that make any difference for y'all? Do y'all have any difference in crackling? I'm just gonna see if I get any comment. Man, there's a big lag. It's at least 30 seconds. It may be 40 seconds. I wish this thing was instant. I wish it was totally instant. I got no comments regarding my audio. Just looking for a comment on audio. If Ari, man, this lag, it must be terrible. Okay, well, I'm just gonna change it back, and because I'm not getting any feedback from y'all. Oh, the clipping decreased dramatically. Okay, I'm gonna set it back. Okay, so I've got it on default right now. It was on camcorder. I've got it set to default. I've got one more option. I can set it to microphone. Let me try that. I'm gonna try one more setting. Audio is bearable. I'm gonna try one more setting. Let me see if this screws it up. It's probably gonna screw it up. I know I'm gonna break this. So now I'm on microphone worst. Sorry for this, guys. I just don't like coming through popping and cracking and stuff. I'm gonna try this for a second. Maybe this works. Maybe it doesn't. Let me know if the change that I made is helping. Man, I wish there wasn't such a big lag. It's a huge lag right here. It may be actually about 60 seconds. 60 seconds on the lag. Just looking for one more comment about the audio to see if it got any better. I've gone through 3 settings. The first one was apparently popping a lot. The second one, James Caldwell says the clipping decreased dramatically, and now I'm on the 3rd setting right now, and I'm wondering if y'all can hear me. I'm gonna put up a 3 by my face, so I'm on 3rd setting right now, just in case there's no audio. And I can also use this to time myself, so it's 1:39 p.m. right now. And whenever I throw up the 3 hand. Okay, actually, there's not that much of a lag. It's only about 10 seconds. Okay, well, nobody's giving me any feedback on if this audio has changed at all. So I'm going to put it on the second one because I'm not getting any feedback on the third one. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe no. Third setting is terrible. Okay, I'm going to put it on the second one. All right, I'm just going to put it on the middle one. We're done. I'm going back to the comments now. Sorry about that little interlude there. Okay. Archie says, time to buy more Hex. Price lowest for a while. I could see it getting a little lower. Maybe a couple of bouncies around in here. But, you know, once it goes to a penny, it's not going to really matter that much if you got it at 25 or 27 or 29. It's not going to matter that much. Archie says the 4 million is going to happen very quickly because when the price goes low enough, I think that's very possible. I think it's very possible. It's amazing that we got 70 folks in here on a Monday. That is amazing. Really cool. Glad to have y'all here. Glad y'all are adding to this so we can learn together. Gifting You Hex says a $4 million real estate collateralized loan is about $14,000 a month payment. Silly. Archie says you have a voice for TV. You know, my grandfather was actually a radio. He was back in the day, back before they had a television. He was a radio announcer. He sure was. He was a radio announcer. So Ben Tyson says that wick down to 0027 and bounce. Nice call. Let's see what our hex price is doing real quick. Just see let's see what we got here. No, I don't want to see that chart. I don't want to see the crashing chart of promise tokens. I want to see the real deal. I want to see hex. What is hex? Ooh, look at that. We got a little pickup. Look at that. Y'all remember on the last stream when I got panicked during the middle of the stream because it had not flash crashed, but dipped down to 27 on last stream. Now we are at 29.3. And I personally think we're going to levitate back up to, let's say the low 30s, maybe 32, 33, levitate back up to that region, and then do a little bit more sideways action. That's my guess. Y'all, if I'm right about that, like if the next couple of weeks and months, my predictions are right, that's a really good sign, because that means that the methods that I'm using, because the methods that I'm using to say that, 27, 33, all these, 0027, 0033, they're all similar. So the more right that I am, the more likely it is that we're going to see 33 cents this year. Or higher, actually. I'm being conservative with 33 cents. Okay, let me scroll back up. Man, I want some cold water. No, GG, no GD. I'm not taking the Hex community for a ride. Unless you want to emergency in-stake, I'll take you for a ride. Selling your coins and emergency in-staking is good for all of us. Gifting You Hex says Brian Jones GT is always able to provoke thought. Hard to miss. Good deal. Archie says ad hominem is a logical fallacy. I agree. Brian Jones says good point. I should be more anonymous, says GT is Hex's Batman. That's funny. No, actually, that's Hexologist. Hexologist is Batman, y'all. For real. Hexologist is the Batman. Y'all, Athelstan says stop touching the mic. I should be more anonymous says why would Richard exit scam? He don't need your money. Yeah, I don't not at these levels. I think he's wanting a lot more growth than what we've seen right now. Ballier Brand says I should be more anonymous. Exactly. A lot of the money in the OA is staked. I don't know if a lot of it is. I don't think a lot of money is staked right now, period. I think we're looking at around 19% stake rate Archie says RG3 is a salty sea dog. I Should Be More Anonymous says RG3 is a legend. He's a cool dude. You can tell he has a lot of experience. He's a cool dude. He definitely has some experience. A lot of it, in fact. Diego Duarte says, hey, GT. What's going on, Diego? Good to see you, man. Glad you could drop in. Gifting you Hex. RG3 is from a different time in California. Military culture discipline is more defining of a person than where they live at the moment. Yeah, that must be what it is. It must be what it is. I like his style a lot. Archie says I like that RG3 is not into conspiracies. Yeah, we gotta have a level-headed mind around here, right? We gotta have somebody that's level-headed. Diego Duarte says I can't understand charts, sadly, but how can you predict a move on a 6 months old coin? I mean, I've done it before. I mean, I've done it before with just basic charting. You can look through my Twitter media. I've got calls. I've got good calls, and that was just using basic trading tools. Fibonacci and Gann and trend lines and moving averages and MACD and stochastics and all this kind of stuff. Using those tools, you can still do a little bit of something. I don't think you can gauge a move to 33 cents, but Ballet Brand, have you ever made a rifle out of an 80% lower? No, sir, I have not. The reason I've never done it is because I don't, I would rather, I don't know why I haven't done it, but it's a good idea. They would call that a ghost gun. It didn't have any serial numbers on it. Um, I would like to, that would be cool to have one. Um, I just, I've done a lot of machine work, not a lot, but I've done machine work in the past, and I've done a lot of work with drill presses. And from the experience that I have with drill presses, I know that you need a pretty good one, like a really good drill press, to actually make an 80% lower that's not garbage. Um, and I don't have one. I don't have a drill press like that, and I don't necessarily even have the power source to power one. It takes a good bit of alternating current. It may even take 240 volt, which I do not have. I could go to. I got machine shops around here that I could go to and do it easily, but just haven't done it. Ben Tyson said, if Hart's aim is to leave a legacy like Satoshi, Hex is as real as it gets. Yep, I agree. I should be more anonymous as I love Fridays. The topics are really cool. Yes, they are. Ballier Brand says, I was going to mill my own, but nearly all the 80% lowers were sold out. I ended up buying a rifle that was all set up. The next one I'll definitely mill from an 80% lower. I mean, if you can mill it and do it right and actually get the holes drilled properly, I just worry about drilling your own lower. I mean, I don't know if you ever built an AR, but when you build an AR, it's nice if the tolerances are pretty tight. Otherwise, you're going to have problems getting all your set pins and, not rivets, but rivet looking things. It's going to be hard to get them all set. Hexologist says, hit the like button, guys. Yes, like, subscribe. What is it they say? Hit the bell. Share on your Facebook and Twitter. All this good stuff. All this good stuff. We're here to talk about Hex. Archie S says, Diego, I will definitely be looking into coming to Portugal in the future. I should be more anonymous, says GT. What do you think about Texas? I've been looking at houses. The thing about Texas is their property taxes are astronomical. Astronomical. I think it's like 10%. So if you have $1 million house, it's worth $1 million in Texas, you have to pay $100,000 a year in taxes. If you have a $100,000 house, which is pretty normal, or even maybe subnormal these days, you got to pay $10,000 a year in taxes in Texas. That's absurd. That's crazy. I will never move to Texas for that reason. I mean, it's never say never, right? It's a good state otherwise, but the property taxes there are absolutely just annihilating. Conversely, someplace like Tennessee, very low property taxes. Very low property taxes in Tennessee. Let me pull up. Let me take just a 2 or 3 second break here real quick. Just for a second. see. I'm gonna make some lemonade here in a second. GT, okay, Texas. Hey Archie, okay. AJ Create says GT, thank you for your awesome content. Thank you for adding to it. You know, this is y'all's content. Y'all make most of this. Y'all ask the questions, and I just provide answers. This is mainly y'all. Thank y'all for being here. Archie says, Diego, it does look nice. I want to travel round first, low budget style to Portugal. Juicy Smolier says, Hex is dipping low. Are you worried? I don't see Hex dipping at all. In fact, it looks very solidly above 0029 right now. I don't know what there is to worry about. The only time I would start to get a little worried is if it dipped below 18 USD. 0018, might get a little worried about that. EIS says, is this live stream anywhere else other than YouTube? It dropped several times. You're the first person that I've seen say that it dropped. Is anyone else saying that it dropped? It's the first I've seen anybody say that. I should be more anonymous. Says, I would do Hex live streams, but my internet sucks. Crypto Goose says, RH created Hex not for money. His ego wants Hex to flip BTC. Yep, I agree. His ego does want Hex to flip BTC. Absolutely. Absolutely. Archie S says, I will wait another year. By that time, Hex might be higher and no COVID. I guess that's before he goes to Portugal. Portugal seems cool. What do I have against Leo Tolstoy? Says, what do you have against Cardano? They're just launching Shelly. Cardano is a promise coin, Leo Tolstoy. In Hex, we generally frown upon promise coins. Hex is a completed project. That's part of why we like it. And oh man, Cardano is a promise coin. Not a fan. Not a fan. It's hot. Evian water, man. Good stuff. Oh my goodness, it's hot. Marco Sagis says, I'm also Italian. My name does not give it away. Welcome, welcome. Good to have you here. Armin Tarimi says, are you still confident with your 1 penny prediction in July? Yep. Actually, every day that goes by, I'm getting more confident in it. It's doing pretty good. It's on track. I should be more anonymous. Says, where does Richard live? We don't even know that. Yeah, I know. Where does he live? Maybe he's a hologram. Maybe he lives in the internet. Maybe he's a cyborg. Maybe he lives in a military base underground. It's possible, right? It's possible. Great Banzo says, I haven't finished the last live stream. These things are long. Like if you want to consume all of the Hex content that's out there, it's a lot of content. Like you may not have enough hours in the day to do that. Escatar says, nobody has ever seen RH and Superman together. Makes you wonder. That's a good point. Maybe Superman and RH are one and the same. KNTX says he has a sauna at home to clean his pores and detoxify. Good idea. That's what I'm doing right now. Sitting in the sauna. I am sitting in the sauna. If I look wet, that is why. Marco Seguis says, man, when you read my sign, it was spot on. Never felt I was an Aries. It makes a lot of sense that I'm a Pisces. Yeah, tropical astrology is a I think it's a psyop to help people not be able to realize the power of astrology. I mean, when you go out tonight, if you're in America and you look up at the moon, I think it's still in Virgo. When you look at the moon, it is going to be in front of a constellation, the constellation of Virgo. Now it may have moved into, actually it may be in Leo now, which is my moon sign. Maybe that affects me, I don't know. But when you go look at the moon tonight, it's literally sitting in front of the constellation of Leo or Virgo, one of them. with tropical astrology, which is what all the Twitter girls and all the magazines talk about, you can't do that. You can't go outside with a telescope and look up in the sky and look at the moon and find which constellation the moon is in. You have to perform this convoluted, just backwards mathematics to shift it over by a certain amount of degrees. It's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you perform mathematics to shift everything around when you can just go look in the sky? Like, do you think that 2,000, 4,000 years ago that people were performing mathematics to shift the moon around? No, they were looking at the moon and saying, "Oh wow, look at that constellation. The moon is sitting in Virgo. Wow." That's how they were doing it. They weren't shifting it. It's madness. I don't know why people want to shift it. So I'm glad that my sign reading was spot on for you, Marco. I did another sign reading this morning. Someone that I was very sure was a Libra, and I was told that they thought they were a Scorpio or yeah, yeah, Scorpio, and I was like, no, you're not a Scorpio. You're not a Scorpio. You're a Virgo. Definitely not a Virgo, but a Libra, because they're just too focused on their looks. Not too focused, but Libras are very focused on their looks. They want to look good. They want to be pretty. They want to be handsome. And I think Richard has probably got some very strong Libra placements. He made a comment the other day about people YouTubing not combing their hair. He made and he's always dressed well. He's always got his rings on and stuff like that. I think he's probably a Libra. GR Vibes all-time high aces. Should we only eat meat, drink water, and fast? It's up to you. It's up to you and what your health goals are. If you're trying to get leaner, if you're trying to resolve any health conditions, if you're trying to resolve autoimmune diseases, you may want to get on some type of meat-only elimination diet, because a lot of autoimmune diseases are driven by incompatible foods with our bodies. Crypto Coffee says, if RH started a life extension company, I would work for it. Hey, that's a good idea. James Caldwell, the clipping has decreased. Awesome. Audio is bearable. I'm going to skip this comment because I don't. Well, actually, I will talk about this. Mark him. Oh man, I hate to even talk about this. Let me think. Should I talk about this or not? I guess I'll talk about it. I hate to, but I will. No, I don't want to. Nah, I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Anderson Bradley McGregor says, after watching GT streams, I'm going out and getting some guns. Good call, man. That's a good call. Guns are good to have, especially if you have the freedom to do it. I should be not more anonymous. Okay, I'm not going to read that. Lasse Raffin says, hello from Denmark. Hello, Lasse Raffin. It's good to have you. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Anderson Bradley McGregor says, yes. Oh, man. I'm not trying to talk about some of these people. Great Banzo says, I thought Hexo and RG were organizing Miami. No. The guy that is organizing, I think his name is Ryan. Yeah, this dude named Ryan is organizing Miami. And he's shown himself in the last few days to be a very, just not a very moral person. He has been spreading a lot of lies on me on Telegram. It's really unwarranted. Because I talked bad about his project, he wants to levy personal attacks against me. That we already talked about all this. And it's interesting is after he levied all those personal attacks against me, within a few hours, the price dropped 90% in 10 minutes. So that's haven't heard anything out of that guy since. But anyway, he's shown himself to be an extremely just disgraceful individual, in my opinion. No morals, no real I mean, it's just bad when you talk bad about people like that, guys. And he's organizing Miami, and I already have some safety concerns about going to Miami. I already have concerns because there's going to be a lot of people that know that there's going to be a meeting of a bunch of crypto people in Miami. Well, crypto people are easy targets, because not easy targets, but they are targets. Um, it's you monkey wrench a person with crypto, and you've all of a sudden you've got their keys and you stole all their money. Um, with a guy that is displaying that degree of dishonesty with his speech, is it possible that he hangs out with the kind of goons that might want to rob people? I don't know. I have no idea if he is or not, but I know that he's shown himself to not be a good individual, and I just don't want to be affiliated with anything that he's planned. I don't think it's safe, and I already had concerns, and now the safety concerns have just been greatly elevated. If you're going, be safe. I hope you have a good time, but I'm not going to be going. Anderson Bradley McGregor says, I bet the Hexy devs won't show their faces at Ryan's Miami BPD party. Yikes. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Firebone says, I think Hexy has good intentions, but unacceptable bugs in the code. I don't think I agree. I think I disagree. I think if they had good intentions, they probably would have worked on the project, and instead of making promises, they would have delivered a product. And I don't think that, judging by the amount of time that it took after the Discord Syndicate episode, it only took about 2 days for them to all of a sudden claim that there was a bug in the code and then halt trading. It's too much of a coincidence. I don't think they have good intentions at all. Hexologist says, this is why I only promote coins that are finished. Yep, you eliminate a lot of problems when you're only interested in finished coins. Anderson Bradley McGregor says the Hex audits are like bug repellent and must be appreciated and respected. It's true. Smash the likes for GT's great work here. Yeah, that would be cool. I should be more anonymous says, thanks for the info on Texas. Yeah, very bad property taxes. Okay. Marcimus Maximus, what are your thoughts on Sagittarius? Sagittarius and what? I mean, Sagittarius itself is a guy with a bow and arrow. He likes to travel a lot. You got to have it in a particular placement before you can talk about it, though. Sagittarius and Jupiter is going to mean, or Jupiter and Sagittarius is going to mean something different than Saturn and Sagittarius. A Sagittarius ascendant is going to be different than the sun and the moon. It just depends. Ellie Bryan says, that was me that you called not a Scorpio, right? I had a Vedic astrology reading with my birth certificate, and I'm a Scorpio rising and Cancer ascendant. No, that's impossible because rising sign and ascendant sign are the same thing. You can't be both a Scorpio rising and a Cancer ascendant. You can't have those simultaneously. I should be more anonymous says, I think you're being too kind. Yes, with HXY. It's an ICO money up front, people getting hurt crypto, and they won't be able to get away with this for much longer. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that that group deserves kindness whatsoever. Like I said, they've I don't know if y'all missed it, but people have been sending me texts that they are paying people to report my channels. Not that it matters, not that they're going to succeed, but it's just nasty people. It's very nasty people. I think the evidence is overwhelmingly shown that they're nasty people, and their only defense is personal attacks. So I think that karma is real, and I don't think that their project is falling apart for no reason. Anderson Bradley McGregor says onboarding and education of Hex are very important, but other tokens are not necessary to create more participation, especially coins that aren't actually based on Hex. Hex army is full of skilled people and intelligent people. Absolutely. Firebun says, I should be more anonymous might be right. Trying my best to justify it, but the code problems alone is enough of a turnoff. Firebun's a good guy. He's trying to make the best of a bad situation, and I can understand that. And I would be with him if Hexy was actually based on Hex, and it was actually helping Hex, but it doesn't seem that it is. So I can't help but not be positive toward it. Firebun says, I don't think Hex benefits much at all. Yeah, it doesn't seem to. Mike D says, hey GT, any thoughts on practical OPSEC? Yeah, lots of. Yeah, you got to be more specific though. I could say I could have an entire episode about practical OPSEC. So it really depends on what you mean. Exercise says tuned in just as you were talking about RH's potential astrology sign. Couldn't pick up on context or tone. So serious question. Are you a proponent and believer in astrology? I'm a proponent and believer in the scientific method and science. And if you do as many charts as I have done, you will start to find patterns. And humans are essentially pattern seeking creatures. You know, we thrive on finding patterns, and it's possible for humans to find patterns that aren't actually there. You know, humans can invent patterns, and I'm very well aware of that. I'm very well aware of placebo type effects, but I've been doing this for several years, looking into astrology and all the different types of astrology and numerology and all these things, and I see unexplainable unexplainable things involved. Like what happened just today. You know, I freaked somebody out when I said that they were obviously a Libra. I said, I don't care what you tell me, you're very obviously a Libra ascendant. Because you can the facial structure is even pronounced. Like you can almost tell someone's especially their ascendant sign, you can tell by their facial structure. And this person obviously had a Libra like look to them, and it was right. Now you have a 1 in 12 chance of getting something like that right, you know, so you've got an 8% chance of getting it right. Is that statistically significant? I think so. I think there's a lot to it. Ballier Brand says, I don't want to go to the crypto party for fear that someone will try and rob me. Yeah, especially when you have individuals that are planning it that have demonstrated less than favorable moral characteristics. When you have people that are just openly lying and refusing to apologize for their lying, I mean, it's already a sensitive situation, guys. You're already going to be just not good. Okay. Ballier Brand says, especially since he can't carry his gun down there since he's in Seattle. You probably could if you got a concealed carry permit that had that was transferable. Like, so if you get a gun carry permit, say in Mississippi, and you go to Florida, there are reciprocity laws that will make your Mississippi gun carry permit valid in Florida. Now, the reciprocity laws vary from state to state, but the reciprocity laws from Washington may be valid in Florida. It's very possible, maybe even likely, because Florida is a pretty gun-friendly state. But the problem is you got to take it on an airplane. Now, that's going to be a pain. Any type of air travel is a pain, and I'm not an air travel. I hate air travel. I don't like it. Apparently, Gifting You Hex says Hexy has 750 million hex. Man, I wonder what would happen if those guys decided to dump. Talk Hex says, do you believe that cured smoked meats should be avoided entirely? No, I don't. People have probably been eating salted meat for a long time and they've been fine. The World Health Organization has said that salted meat causes cancer. I don't believe that. What about raw meat? I don't like raw meat. I think that humans have been smart enough to cook meat for a very, very long time. And when I eat raw meat, which I've tried it before, like I've tried just eating raw hamburger meat and or just very, very slightly heated, it doesn't make me feel good. I don't feel good eating that stuff. I don't think humans were meant to eat that way. I mean, what cooking does is it just digests the food for you so that you have to spend less energy digesting it. It doesn't make sense to not cook it unless you just want to spend more energy digesting food. Firebun is asking, is that Are you referring to how much they collected after the V1 contract? Ballet Brand says no. Wait, okay. Ballet Brand is trying to argue with me about what a rising sign is. No, sir. Do not argue with me about what a rising sign is. These are astrological primitives. Go back and read about what a rising sign is and what an ascendant is, and then we'll talk. Firebone says a few hundred million already went into Uniswap a while back. Great Banzo says with HXY, even if they're genuine, I believe Hex has enough to do fighting scam labels without the association of potential scams. Maximus says, do you have a good book or research or resource to learn astrology? No, not really, not yet. I need to figure some out. It's when you start getting into this esoteric stuff, there's so much disinformation out there that it's like if you even do get a book, immediately right off the bat, you have to assume that half of the book is garbage. And that's when it gets into occult and esoteric stuff, that's just how it is. Half or more, or maybe even 3/4 of the books are total garbage. It's hard to learn this kind of stuff just because there is so much mis and dis information. Gunning Gamut says selling hex hopium to vulnerable so-called hexicans is sad. I mean, you should see how they are worked up, expecting a savior coin with an APR 10x that of hex. If you believe the promises, you're going to get wrecked. Crypto Goose says the highest ROI will most likely be set from a stake placed before BPD. Therefore, do you think there will be any stake placed after BPD that can beat the best ORI achieved from a stake placed before BPD? The largest, well, the closest to BPD highest ROI stake is going to be a stake that is 150 million hex the day before BPD, staked for 5555. If nobody does that, then that would be the highest ROI stake possible. I don't know if anybody will do that, but that would be the highest. Crypto Goose, if this is the case, then the ROI will be capped one day, say 5555 days into the future. No, the ROI isn't capped. The ROI actually is always going. The ROI from a perspective of shares is always going down. So the ROI in how many shares you get is always going to be decreasing. I may not understand your question really clearly, though, if I don't just rehash it. GR says a lot of the media is controlled to think twice or thrice. I don't know. I think all of it's controlled, isn't it? Soul's Demigod says Hyperloop. Okay. Exercise says you are also able to derive way more nutrition out of cooked food than raw. Probably, especially if it's plants. Now, if it's meat, probably, but if it's plants, 100%. You can't even digest plants unless they're cooked most of the time, unless like it's some fruit maybe. Exercise, you are very well spoken and well versed in a broad variety of topics, my friend. Appreciate your perspective. Appreciate the kind words, Exercise. I've been studying for a long time. Every job that I've ever worked, I probably spent at least half my day just reading, researching, trying to figure stuff out. Been doing that for a long time. Talk Hex says Crypto Goose, the highest ROI on one stake will likely be achieved by a day one 5555 linked stake with a maxed bigger pays better. The share price can continue to rise after that, however. Okay. TalkX says Kyle has a nice explanation on this. Share price is more accurately based on the highest cumulative ROI. TalkX says day one would be higher ROI due to better share rate. No? I'm really surprised we've got more than 60 people in here on a Monday. That's really cool. EIS says yes, earlier stake will beat later stakes always when the same amount and time over better share price. Some of these messages are more complicated than I can really understand. I'm not understanding the English very well. GR says thoughts on fruits. I'm finally caught up in the chat, thankfully. Fruits, I think they spike your blood sugar, and all of the fruits that you're going to get in the store right now are man-made, selectively bred to create more sugar than would have ever been naturally found in the wild. A good example would be a watermelon. If you examine the sugar content, fructose, glucose, sucrose, all of these different sugars in a watermelon, the content is going to be radically higher than anything you would have ever been able to find in Africa, where the watermelon came from. If you're European, I don't think your ancestors would have been eating watermelons anyway. And even if you're African, I don't think those people were eating a lot of watermelons because they didn't have a lot of sugar in them. They weren't, and they don't provide a lot of energy. You know, one thing I was talking about to y'all the other day is when I go outside and eat now, when I eat and then go outside and work, I don't have to really eat all day. I just need to drink water. And that I think that's necessary, the drinking water part. These very cellulose-filled, starchy fruits, I shouldn't use the word starchy, I should say fibrous fruits. They didn't provide a lot of energy. People would not have been able to survive. There are no fruitarian-based civilizations of people that have ever existed in the known world because it doesn't provide enough energy, nutrition, or raw materials to grow a big brain. That's the reason that we're different from monkeys, is because we started eating meat and cooking food. If I assume that if you took a chimpanzee and taught him how to cook meat, he would probably start growing bigger brain after a while. I think that's probably what happened to us. Gifting you Hex says, do you think a steak that ends BPD +1 should early end steak 10 days before then resteak? Depends on your goals. BPD +1, should they early end steak 10 days before and then resteak? It depends on what you're trying to do. I mean, I got to know exactly how long you want to have the steak. It's really hard to say. EIS says it's German English. Okay. Anderson Bradley McGregor says GT is an incredible asset to the Hex community. Thank you, GT, for your insight. And thank you all for asking questions, and thank you all for being here, especially on a Monday. It's amazing that, man. I think every time I talk this much, my nose starts getting a little funny. This happened last time. Thank you all for asking questions. I have actually run out of chat. Let me restart it and make sure that I'm seeing things. People are probably today. They're probably doing more listening than they are typing questions because they're probably at work or doing some kind of work. They're probably busy listening on their headset. Okay, I'm gonna take just a 30-second breather real quick, and I'll be back in about 30 seconds, y'all. Give me just. Whew, okay, get some water here. Oh man. Whew. It's I don't know how, public speakers, that's a lot more more to it. I've been talking straight for 2 hours, and it's interesting how this goes. Generally, unless you're just sitting in front of a screen, you've probably never just talked for 2 hours straight in a row in your life. And it's interesting. It's not as effortless as you might think. It takes some kind of energy to talk. I enjoy it. It's good. We're learning a lot. It's good. But it is certainly energy consuming to a degree. But it's good. It's good. Not a complaint. Not a complaint. It's just new. It's just not something I've experienced before the last several weeks. Okay. GR says, is there even enough meat for the world anyway? I doubt it. I've done the math. If everyone were to eat a diet like I eat, there is not enough land mass on the entire planet. There's not enough arable land mass on the planet to grow the number of cows for everybody to be a carnivore. I don't think there's enough. There's not enough land to do it. So anybody who is vegan, anybody who eats rice, is sacrificing their health to you so that you can be healthy. So thank them for it. Thank the vegans. Don't ridicule the vegans. Thank the vegans for sacrificing their health to you. Because I don't think everybody can be carnivore. I don't think there's enough land for it. Gifting You Hex says, I want a steak. Yeah, I just had 2 steaks actually before this stream. They were good. They were really good. I found a grocery store that actually doesn't trim the steaks. So whenever you're buying steaks, you want to try to find steaks that are untrimmed, that still have a lot of the fat left on them. And I found a grocery store that does that. AZ says he's just listening and eating candy. Candy's not good for you, my friend. It will negatively affect your brain function. AG Create says, what are your recommended thoughts on wallets and security? On wallets, the one that I have found that's probably the best, and it's not perfect. I don't endorse them as a creator of perfection, but I believe the Ledger Nano is pretty good. It's pretty good. I haven't heard a whole lot about them getting hacked. The key standards that they use are pretty universal. You can take a Ledger key and import it into Trezor or any other kind of thing. You can actually, and I've had to do this before, you can take your key out of your Ledger Nano and you can manually extract the private keys out of the key phrase and import them manually into another device if you needed to. So let's just say that you had a Ledger Nano and it broke, and all you had was your phrase, your passphrase, your 12 or 24 word passphrase. You could take that passphrase on an offline computer. You could extract your Ethereum private keys out of that manually and import them into MetaMask manually and have access to all your money. That's cool. I like that. I would not use a ledger if that was not possible. I would not use one, but it is. So I think ledger's a pretty good thing. Omar Jackson, what do you think about the movie Ready Player One? Never seen it. I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't like movies a whole lot. I find movies to always have some degree of programming in them. I believe that they're trying to groom people to behave or believe in a certain way. Now, there's always exceptions. Like I like the Terminator movies are pretty cool. I watched one of those the other day. Just like the old ones though, and those were fun. Every time I watch a movie, I'm trying to find the what is the programming in this? What are they trying to condition people to believe is okay? Because I think that's a lot of the main point behind movies. And that goes for industries as a whole. Industries as a whole are very clearly not here to make money anymore. Look at Gillette. They're the company that they created an advertisement about. I don't remember what the advertisement was specifically, but it was something that was anti-men. It was like anti-patriarchy, or so one of those made-up words, and it negatively impacted their sales, and they didn't care. They didn't change their tune because it's become very clear that they're not really in this for the money. It's interesting. You look lately at who the Federal Reserve, they're buying bonds of private companies now. They bought bonds of Berkshire Hathaway. I saw that. It's very strange. But there's possibly agendas going on, so I don't necessarily... some movies are good. If y'all find good movies, recommend them to me. It's good to have a little bit of downtime, especially as we're waiting on this penny thing to come through. It's good to relax sometimes. For years I've just been 90 to nothing. Crypto. That's all I pay attention to. So it's nice sometimes to kind of get off of that and look into other things. Go outside, work in the yard, watch a movie, hang out with your girlfriend, all these kind of things. It's good to get away. So are all movies bad? I doubt it. Are all movies good? I doubt it. Are some interesting? Absolutely. They seem to be getting more boring over time, though. As time goes on, it seems like movies are getting more and more. They're running out of ideas. I noticed that they just remade some of my favorite. I used to play video games. I don't play a lot of video games anymore, but I used to play Resident Evil. I loved Resident Evil, and they just remade Resident Evil 3. My brother, he's got it on his like PlayStation 6 or something. I don't know, PlayStation 3. I don't know what he's got, but he's got a Resident Evil remake on there, and the graphics are just absurdly good. Absurdly good. And the storyline in those games is really good. Beats any movie I ever played, to be honest. D Biggie, what's up, my man? Good to see you. Glad to have you. Thank you for stopping by. Before Hex, had you been involved with DApps on ETH, TRX, or EOS? No, not really. Nope, nope, nope. I had not done a lot with DApps. This is really my first foray into the ERC20 token land. I believe, the funny thing is I've been fooled in crypto. The reason, I think I made a video about this one time, and this is kind of what not bothered, but when people are making derogatory comments about me, which has happened a lot in the last several days with this Hexy thing. One of the reasons why I do well is because I've made a lot of mistakes. I've made very bad mistakes, devastating mistakes, and I've learned from them. Most people who make, and I'm not going to hide that I've made mistakes. Most people who make mistakes to the magnitude that I've made, they give up and go home. They quit. I don't. You got to be persistent. The people who make the biggest mistakes and who are the most persistent have an opportunity to learn. They have an opportunity to learn the most, and they have an opportunity to learn a lot. And I was one of those guys that when Ethereum first came out, I remember my buddies at work were talking about it, and they were buying it for 30 cents. And I said, no, that's a pre-mine scam. That's a pre-mine scam. Vitalik pre-mined those coins and gave them to his buddies. It was all ideological, and I did not get involved for that reason. And so anyway, I don't know why I segued into that, but no, this is really my first, and I love it. Now that I've gotten into this ERC20 token, I'm kind of becoming an Ethereum maximalist almost, in a way that, like, if your system is not based on Ethereum, like, what are you doing? Are you going to make me download another wallet besides MetaMask? That's too much of a pain. Like, I don't want to do all that. You want to make me download this EOS wallet that's not really well supported? Yeah. So I like the EOS, the Ethereum platform, and I'm glad to have gotten into it and learned a lot about it. I think it's got a pretty bright future, especially as this DeFi thing comes online, as long as people can figure out that admin keys are probably not the way to go. Yep, a lot of people own these admin keys. All right, EIS says Crypto Goose maybe, but I think the better share rate will outperform the remaining days between those stakes. We will see on the moon anyway. Okay. Alan Bittner says, isn't it that Hex has not yet played out its full potential since not all the coins are out yet? Absolutely, Alan Bittner. You are 100% right. Hex has not even started, folks. Hex has really not even started. It's still launching. It is still in the launch phase and does not really seriously get going until really November. And really, I would say November 2021, after all the Bitcoin free claimers have dumped their free bags. That is when Hex really gets started, in my opinion. That is when things will really start to come alive. I think 2022 is going to be a good year. I think it is. I think it's going to be a really good year. I think 2023 is going to be even better. 2021 is, it could be okay. It could be okay. I don't think it's going to be a bad year by any means. I don't know that 2021 is going to pump as hard as 2020. I'll say that. But that's okay. I don't think it's ever going to just pull a hexy and do 90% in 10 minutes. Yikes. Anderson Bradley McGregor says better hex onboarding apps will be created. Cool. I hope so. It would be nice. And it would also be nice if these apps actually used and utilized hex. Actually utilized it. Actually utilized the functions of hex, the staking function. That would be cool. You could actually say something was built on hex if they actually utilized it. CryptoGoose says, I didn't realize that ROI is cumulative. Are you sure about that? I thought each stake was independent and ROI calculated on that individual stake. Excuse me, sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. GR says Korean short ribs are so blessed. I don't think I've ever had them. Kaya says, I have not understood one part of the share price. Let's say my stake ends in 2 years. Okay, let's say your stake ends in 2 years, and I end my stake. When? Now? Today? In 2 years? When? People talking about saving their shares after ending? What? No. You can't save your shares after it's over. How does it work? How will it look? What is the rules for this? I don't have enough information. When is your shares? When are you ending your stake? Are you ending your stake now or in 2 years? I don't know. Understand saving your shares after ending. You can't save your shares. Once you mint your hex, your shares are gone. Poof, they're gone. EIS says, Kyle, there's no possibility to keep your shares after ending a stake. That is the point in staking longer. He's got a good point. Listen to EIS. He knows. I Should Be Anonymous says, Elysium is a really good movie. What is Elysium? What is that about? Is that pretty good? Archie says Kubrick films 2001 Space Odyssey. Okay, Blade Runner is really good. I love Blade Runner. The thing about Space Odyssey, I think there's like a psyop in Space Odyssey. You know, in Space Odyssey, whenever he's like blasting off, where it looks like he's like on an acid trip. I guess that's what an acid trip looks like. I don't know. I've never had an acid trip, but it looks like he's on something like an acid trip, like just it's like he's traveling through space and everything's going crazy. I think that they might be hiding, and this is just me, I may be wrong, but they might be hiding like weird subliminal programming kind of stuff in there. I don't know. It's just really weird. You know how sometimes they can play songs backwards, or they can put words backwards on the screen to affect your subliminal mind and all this stuff. I think that scene in Space Odyssey could be doing that. That's a really interesting. Hexologist Clips says, how did you find Hex? I forgot. I think, actually, I knew about Hex back in like a while back, like in like December, or even before that. But everybody called it a scam, and I had found something. Richard had said something in one of his YouTube videos that I really, really disagreed with. It was probably him. It was probably him saying that he was in love with Bill Gates, or he was in love with vaccines, or something like that. And whenever he said that, I just kind of wrote him off. I'm like, oh, well, if he likes Bill Gates, then he's wrong about everything. This is silly. I'm never paying attention to him again. So that was my mindset. And I don't think Bill Gates is actually a good person. And so whenever I saw the coin coming out, I was seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter about Hex being a scam. And my brain immediately went back to, okay, well, I remember he was like, he loved Bill Gates and was shilling all this Bill Gates population control agenda, ovary destroying, testicular function destroying vaccines. So I assume that since he shilled that kind of stuff, that they must be right. Hex must be a scam, because I remember him talking about, being pro that kind of stuff. Which, Bill Gates, he was doing stuff where he was sneaking anti-fertility drugs into vaccines in Africa and giving them to women and stuff. Yeah, it's just, and even if that stuff's not I think that stuff is verified. I'm almost sure that stuff is verified. So it's a logical fallacy to come to that conclusion. It's a logical fallacy to assume that just because someone was pro Bill Gates, that they must be wrong about everything. Or to make the assumption that just because someone is Bill Gates, likes Bill Gates, that means that anyone who says that they're scamming, it must be true. That's a logical fallacy. You can't follow that line of reasoning. And I did follow that line of reasoning. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. But I'm getting smarter. I'm getting smarter as time goes on. And I saw someone post a picture of the Giga whale the Genesis whale in mid-April. And as soon as I saw that green bar, I remembered Hex. I remembered, okay, Richard Hart, he was a smart guy. And I saw that candle and I said, I actually started researching. Okay, I didn't take, because I know everybody calls everything a scam and they don't know what they're talking about. But this time I took a second look and I'm like, okay, everybody called this thing a scam. Let me actually look into this deeply myself and make the decision if it's a scam or not. And within an hour of doing my own personal research, like, I can go back and look at my tweets. I'm like, I thought it was a Ponzi scheme at first, so I started making a bunch, but I thought it was a good Ponzi scheme, if there's such a thing. I thought it was a Ponzi scheme that was actually going to work. So I started making a bunch of tweets right then. I said, guys, I'm about to get y'all in on a new Ponzi scheme. I just found something really good. And that's how I found Hex. But then a lot of those tweets, I was calling it a Ponzi scheme in those early tweets. I didn't read the part of the FAQ that said that it wasn't a Ponzi scheme. I figured that part out later. D. Bicky says, that was the point of my question, GT. I'm liking the learning curve for me with ERC20. Love learning, but many lessons in the dApp space. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure, within the next year or so, I'm going to end up, getting back into, I'm not going to say civilization, but at least getting back to different styles of living. I'll say that. Within the next year, I'll probably get back into different styles of living. And when I do, I'm going to get, a nice computer set up and, dual monitors and keyboard and all this kind of stuff. And when I get all that, I would like to get into Solidity programming. That's really kind of piquing my interest. I got a pretty strong programming background, especially with C-type languages, which Solidity is. It looks like C. And I'd really like to get into Solidity programming. I'll probably get into that here in the next, maybe in the next several months. It really just depends on how things pan out. Gifting You Hex says pulls out $100 every 5 minutes. I wonder what that means. I'm going to check the Hexy collapse real quick, just because we're talking about it in chat. See what the Hexy collapse looks like. Yikes. Still collapsing. Yep. Still looking like garbage. Steaming garbage. That's okay. Let me check the Hex price real quick, see what it looks like. Looking good. Looking good. Looking at 29.3. Hasn't moved. Looking good. No surprises there. Okay, let me scroll back up. Hex Coin says, are you looking forward to Staker launching? Hex Coin, I mean, I am looking forward to it, but I don't actually know what it is. I don't actually know what it does. I just know it's going to be something. I just think it's going to make, I know that it's going to make it easier for Hexicans to stake their coins, but I don't think that's the only function that it will have. And I don't know what other functions it's going to have. I just don't know what it's going to do. So yes, I'm looking forward to it, but I don't know why I'm looking forward to it. Gunning Gamut says, and there you have it, folks. We have a new crypto technology, Hexy. You got a Hexy. That is a 90% drop in token price in 10 minutes. Yes, that is called pulling a Hexy. If you pull a Hexy, that means you 90% down in 10 minutes. That is called to pull a Hexy. Yes, sir. That's going in Urban Dictionary. Somebody please put that in Urban Dictionary. Pulling a Hexy. Hexcoin says same. Not a fan of Bill Gates, but still love Richard Hart. Yep, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Not a fan of Bill Gates though. Markimus Maximus said I had a similar experience with Richard in COVID-19. We were always going at it. I said it wasn't a big deal, and he was freaking out. Yeah, I don't agree with him about everything. There's especially with COVID-19, I think he's probably still in his house. I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know where he's getting his groceries. I don't think COVID-19 is actually that deadly for healthy aged people. The only thing about COVID, I don't think I'm allowed to say COVID-19 on YouTube, am I? I don't care, honestly. But I think there's a possibility that if it is a genetically engineered virus, which it does kind of seem to be, that there could be some intricacies embedded into it that might affect people down the road in strange ways. That's the only thing that I really worry about it. I worry that there could be some unforeseen consequences down the road as a result of some of the genetic sequences that have been inserted into that virus, of which people are not completely aware of their function. CryptoKG says Bill Gates definitely not a good person. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. Wasn't Markimus Maximus says, wasn't Bill Gates kicked out of countries for all the havoc his vaccines caused? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that is true. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know. I've seen some stuff, like some of the anti-Bill Gates talk, it does look kind of fabricated. Like it's not verifiable. So you got to be careful with some of that stuff. You got to be careful with it. But I do think it's I'm almost sure that I remember it being verifiable that they slipped in some infertility drugs into African vaccines. I'm almost sure that somebody did that. Maybe it wasn't Bill Gates. Maybe it was the World Health Organization. But I'm almost sure that somebody did that. Which it's like I said earlier, there's not enough cows, there's not enough land in the world to feed everybody a carnivore diet. That doesn't mean that you can slip people infertility drugs, though. It's not a moral right. Hexcoin says that would be awesome. Are you planning on building something cool for Hex? Yeah, I would like to if I could think of something. Like you gotta think of something to do though. I would really like to get into Solidity programming. A lot of things have to happen first though. If we go 33 cents, I will probably become a Solidity programmer this year. If I had to guess, that would maybe. I don't know. That'd be cool though. They could give me a computer, give me some power, a good power source. Kai says I will find a video where they talk about the share price and send a tweet to you tomorrow. It can be my English that are messing it up. Yeah, it's probably the English I'm having because it's really it's difficult to speak English already, right? It's already difficult. Language is already difficult. Translating ideas from your brain into any language is already difficult. But when you're trying to talk about and convey complex topics in a second language, it becomes even more difficult. AJ Create says, elaborate about the Bill Gates and vaccinations. I'm not super, I'd have to get somebody else on here. Like I don't spend a whole lot of time. All I know is that I am not convinced that they're good. I'm not convinced that Bill Gates is a good guy. For sure. GR says, will you be taking the vaccine? I guess if they want to inject it into, I'm not even going to go there. No, I'm not. Gifting You Hex says the 488D address is the same that pulled liquidity. It sells $100 worth of Hexy every 5 minutes to people still trading ETH for it. So I don't look, guys. If y'all got Hexy, this account that pulled all the liquidity is still dumping bags into, according to Gifting You Hex, it is still dumping bags into Uniswap, $100 every 5 minutes. So I wouldn't count on you getting your money back out of Hexy. Sorry, I don't. If it happens, you'll be lucky. GR says thoughts on Rife frequency machine. I remember studying. Isn't that like an anti-cancer machine or something? I don't know a ton about it. Archie said virus has a low death rate. There's definitely Agenda 21, 2030 thing going on. Bill Gates is not a good guy. Yeah, I think Bill Gates, he recently said that we will not be opening the economy in the entire world until everybody or 80% of people has a vaccine. He thinks he's president of the world, which he clearly is not. Hex Coin says that would be cool if you want to help. If you want help designing the UI for any of your ideas, GT, let me know. I don't do UIs. I'm a very text-based kind of guy. I do command line stuff, text-based stuff. The only type of UIs that I've ever done have been very, very basic HTML, CSS UIs, very basic. You know, it looks like it's from 1995. But I'm good at making navigable command line interfaces. I've actually got an in curses book on the shelf. I have yet to finish it, but like that kind of stuff, like in curses and just command line stuff, I'm good at. I'm more back end. Back end. Oh gosh, that's gonna be. Yeah, I like the back end more than the front end. That actually means something in computing terms, guys. You can't flip that. EIS says, is the wall built out of Douglas fir? No, it's actually built out of cedar. That is cedar. Whether it is Juniperus virginiana type cedar, which is like a pseudo cedar, or whether it's real cedar, I'm not sure. But it's some kind of cedar. And I got it because it was, I thought it would look cooler than sheetrock. I guess I could have put sheetrock in the house and it would have been fine. But I kind of liked this pattern. I don't know. I liked it. I'm proud of it. I like it. I'm happy with it. It's cool. Could I have done a better job? Yeah. But it works, and it's holding the insulation in. Those walls are very full of insulation. I would be sweating a lot more right now if they weren't. Ballet Brand says Richard definitely doesn't agree with Bill Gates being a bad person. There's definitely a control agenda going on here. Crazy we had the 2019 John Hopkins pandemic simulation. Yeah. The guys in Baltimore, they it's almost like they knew that this pandemic was coming. They had a whole lot of tools ready to go. Gifting you Hex, meme for GT, likes the back end more than the front end. Yep, I knew that was coming. I'm a back end. Gosh. Oh no. This is a show for children, y'all. Come on. This is for children. Hexologist Clip says, you heard it here first, boys. GT, a back end kind of guy instead of front end. I'll never live that one down. Never. That's never going away. Ballet Brand says, before the COVID stuff broke out, seems like this was planned long term in advance. Just like after 9/11, our lives as we know it will never be the same. It's a striking possibility. Very striking. Fred3333333 says, if you were developing another version of Hex right now, what would you change from the current version to make it better? What would I change from the current version to make Hex better? We can say that we would have changes, but do we unless we understand the reason for every design consideration, it's very hard to say that without any kind of real validity. You know, I can say that I would eliminate the OA. I would say that I would eliminate the OA getting a copy of all of the penalties and all this kind of stuff. But for me to say that I would eliminate the OA, that would mean that I would have to understand and have a universal overlooking view, a bird's eye view of the entire universe, such that I understood every possible purpose of the OA. And I don't have that. The OA could have purposes that you and I have never dreamed of. It's possible. So for me to go out and say that, yeah, if I had to do Hex over again, I would, or if I had to, you know, if Hex had to be done over again, what would I do to change it? I could say, yeah, I would eliminate the OA. Yeah, I could say that, but I only have a myopic perspective. My perspective is very narrow. It's not possible for us to understand every single minute detail of every design consideration that went into the protocol. So because I'm not all omniscient, I will say I wouldn't change anything, which is kind of it's a heck of a statement to make, but I don't think I would change anything. Just because I can't know the reasoning for all those design considerations. If I change something, I could cause a domino effect and screw up something else that I didn't even understand its purpose. If you gotta have more understanding than we do to be able to start before you can start ripping stuff out, before you can start changing things. GR says Bill Gates simultaneously laughs and smiles eerily as in his interviews interviewed by newscasts about world issues. That guy is a creep. He is a creepy creep. Bill Gates is a creepster. Absolutely. He probably rapes children. Whoops, did I say that? I did not say that. Sorry guys, this YouTube channel is going to be banned. Sun Kim says lower supply. Don't know what that means. Fahim Jassim says, do you think quantum computing will be able to break cryptography in the future? Let me tell you this. Oh, man, let me get some water because this is something. This is so long. This is gonna take a minute. Okay. The National Security Agency probably has quantum computers. They probably got good ones. The National Security Agency in Fort Meade, Maryland, consumes that big black building, that big black cube building consumes more power. That one little space, that one little base consumes more power than the entirety of Maryland combined. What on earth could they be doing with that much power? Not only that, they requested more power from the state of Maryland or from the Baltimore Electric or whoever it is that they get their power from. They requested to have more power, and the electric people said, I can't do it. Said this is all the power we have. So they went to, I think it's Ogden, Utah, maybe somewhere in Utah, and created basically like a new National Security Agency type place because they ran out of power in Maryland, so they needed to create a new one. Long story short, the NSA is using absolutely massive amounts of electricity. Massive amounts of electricity. Are they powering quantum computers with that thing? Maybe, probably. It's almost certain that they're doing some kind of testing with it. Maybe quantum computers require a lot of power. But I know they're sucking a lot of power out of the utility companies. Do I think, well, back in the day, the NSA broke DES encryption, and they broke it for a while. It's very possible that not only have they already broken encryption with quantum computers, but what would be more likely is that they hid backdoors in all the encryption schemes so that they wouldn't even have to break it with quantum computers. If they have backdoors, you just bypass all that stuff. Quantum computing is hard. It takes a lot of power. That's like brute forcing. That's ridiculous. It's a lot easier to just hide a backdoor in something. And like the elliptic curve that's in Bitcoin was invented by the NSA. SEC 256 KP1 or whatever the hell it is. They invented it. Do they have a backdoor in it? Maybe. Possibly. Possible. It's hard to find those backdoors. It's very complicated math that's involved with those. So yeah, it's a convoluted, complicated question. Will quantum computing be able to break cryptography in the future? Probably. Have they already broken it all? Maybe. They may have already broken it. It's hard to say. Anderson Bradley McGregor says the OA could be a burn address. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure those coins are moving, my friend. Giving You Hex says OA is a ballast. Allows ship to sail a course without the waves of the crypto ocean. Plus, who would put 12 million into liquidity to kick off trade and kick off belief and compel exchanges to open doors? It's very possible. There's a lot going on here, and it might be myopic for us to say the OA is bad. It might be myopic. It might be myopic for us to say recycling is bad. We do not necessarily have enough information. Alan Bittner says, I think Hexo seeded this idea. Maybe the OA could do things in favor of stakers. Maybe it unstakes or provides liquidity on exchanges. All good things other coins don't have. All possibilities. Good points, Alan Bittner. Gifting You Hex says OA is more beneficial than we realize, even if it never does anything. Plus, copies of actions of the community is a general going into battle rather than telling dog soldiers to do. Lead by example. Marcimus Maximus says, have you taken psychedelics? I want to do an ayahuasca trip relatively soon, preferably when Hex pumps to crazy levels, and I need to decide what to do with my new life. I think people probably are a little, I don't think people respect psychedelics as well as they should. I know at least 2 people that committed suicide that were involved with psychedelics. Now, were they more inclined to commit suicide, and that's why they did psychedelics, or did the psychedelics make them commit suicide? It's a causation correlation problem. You don't know. But I think that people treat psychedelics all too often as party drugs, and they're not party drugs. So I think that if you're interested in doing something like that, I think you should respect it and understand. I know I've heard of people that do stuff like LSD. What is that? Lysergic acid diethylamide. They do stuff like that, and it changes their brain permanently. They become different people. I know people, or I've heard of people that do psychedelics, and they'll all of a sudden, for a long time after that, they'll see like tracers and stuff. They'll see flitters in their vision. They'll hear things. Health is a very precious thing, and you need to be careful before you gamble with it. Could some of these psychedelic substances have negative long-term impacts on health? It's very possible. A lot of the people that say no, that's impossible, they say that because they're biased. They have a biased belief system. So all I say is, if that's something that you want to do, that if you want to do ayahuasca trips and all this kind of stuff, just be careful, be very respectful, and don't treat it as a party drug. That's all I can say. Gunning Gamut says the OA would be a source for loans against your 15-year stakes in the future. Archie says, isn't there a bill going through Congress trying to make end encryption illegal? Maybe. They tried to do that in the 90s. Yeah, they tried to make end-to-end encryption illegal in the 90s, and I don't think it worked out very well. AZ says, what are your thoughts on Elon Musk's Neuralink? It seems like cybernetic implants are probably the future of humans. We first started using tools, and we just keep going and going and going forward, and it seems like cybernetic implants are the next level of tools. The more you learn about computers, the more that you become skeptical of them because they break. Imagine getting a cybernetic implant that breaks. I don't know. It's something to worry about. KNTX, about 20 of us buddies were tripping mushrooms in high school, and one of our buddies went schizophrenic permanently. You see, guys? That's what I'm talking about. 20 KNTX, 20 buddies were tripping mushrooms in high school, and one of our buddies went permanently schizophrenic. That kind of stuff happens. Some people will take these psychedelics and they're wrecked for life. I mean, they don't come back. Like they go into this trip, and there's some people that do not come back. And I think mental health and physical health are precious, and I don't know if it's necessarily worth. I don't know if a trip to the to talk to the machine elves is worth it. Are the machine elves worth you losing sanity for the rest of your life? I don't know. So that's not my decision to make. I don't know. Anderson Bradley says doing mushrooms and reading Tao Te Ching will give you a better understanding of life on Earth and in our universe, in moderation only. I'm not a highly experienced psychedelics person. I'm not really going to be the best. I don't know what benefit above something that's relatively safe, like weed. I guess weed is relatively safe. Is there a large benefit that something like mushrooms would have over weed? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I've read stuff about people that cure, long-term depression with MDMA or mushrooms or something. I don't know. I think that taking care of your health first and foremost in natural ways may yes. Okay. Fred 3333 says one thought is the OA and recycling are ways of building flexibility into a hard-coded contract. OA can control the interest return, recycling can control circulating supply. Definitely adds some flexibility. Could. It definitely could. Recycling can control circulating supply. Yeah, they have a lot of options. They have a lot of options with the OA. It may not be a good idea to remove it. Everybody would probably say up front, "Oh, let's get rid of the OA so we can get richer." Well, that may not be the best thing. AZ says maybe Inca's lobotomy was about Neuralink and time travel. Maybe. Gunning Gamut says the first cybernetic implant would probably be a pacemaker. Yeah, true. Now project from that. Let your imagination go wild. Yeah, pacemaker is definitely a cybernetic implant. And people seem to be doing okay on them, though. I mean, they seem to be working. Do they ever have to get replaced? Yeah. Do they ever break? Yeah. But the thing about a pacemaker is, a lot of people have pacemakers, they're not active. Just because you have a pacemaker doesn't mean that it's firing. They actually go in and check your pacemaker regularly to see what's happening. And I know people that have pacemakers that they never have to fire. The pacemaker is really just a backup device, right? It's a backup device that's there to fire the electrical signals into your heart. And it's not necessarily always running. The difference between that and what Elon Musk is promoting like an actual processing unit that's always running and that's always feeding your brain constantly. There's a lot of I would just worry about the security concerns. What happens when somebody hacks that thing and takes control of your body and makes you go, murder somebody? Is that your fault? Is that the person that hacks you's fault? How do you prove that you got hacked? I mean, it's going to start getting weird. Like, did you murder somebody or did the hacker murder somebody? I mean, it's no telling. It's no telling how deep that rabbit hole could go. Anderson Bradley says, haven't done them in 20 years. Fahim Jatim says, do you have a prediction on when we will achieve of artificial general intelligence, or if ever? I think people overestimate the intelligence of artificial intelligence because they're materialists, right? Materialists believe that we have these atoms, we have these protons, neutrons, electrons, and that's what we are, and that's all we are. And because of that, they believe that intelligence is purely mechanical. They believe that we live in a purely mechanical universe and that all of your thought patterns, they believe that all of your desires, all of your functions are all materially derived from a simply biomechanical organism, that you are simply a biological machine. The people that believe that we are simply biological machines only, I'm sure they believe that that artificial intelligence will become as smart as man, because why not? I don't think that's true, though. I think that there is more to consciousness that is outside of our bodies. I think that there is much, much more going on than just that. Um, Especially when it comes to memory. I don't know. I think there's more going on. I think if you view our existence as pure biomechanical machinery, maybe we can replicate that with a computer system. But if you believe that there is more to the human going on than simply biomechanical machinery, that there is some spirit or soul or Akashic record element to existence, that maybe the artificial intelligence isn't going to be very intelligent. Archie says, my mom has a pacemaker. It kicks in when heart rate is low. Absolutely. Yeah, they don't always go. They don't always tick. Gunning Gamut says, have you watched the movie Upgrade? I don't think so. I haven't watched a lot of movies. Maximus says, I tend to think consciousness is our true selves and isn't a function of the brain meat. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, man. I think we're going to wrap up here soon, guys. We're almost at 3 hours even, and it is a Monday, and I have mostly run out of comments. Have you watched Mike Judge's movie Idiocracy? Yeah, I have watched it. I think it's actually a documentary. It seems to be playing out right in front of us. It's a very interesting movie. Okay, guys. Well, I think we're done. I think we're done for the day. I don't see we're kind of run out of hex talk for the day. So glad to have y'all here. Glad for the questions. Glad to see our European friends over here. And hopefully we'll talk to y'all next time.